continuation of round 12 coverage of the AFL season 2023 on Grandstand AFL through ABC Sport. My name is Quentin Hull. Welcome to Darwin. Port too good for the Hawks by 55. Collingwood thrashing West Coast by 63 points. Let's hope the two games on this Saturday night are a little bit closer for your listening entertainment. Here it is Gold Coast up against Adelaide. At the Docklands, it's the Bulldogs and the Cats. A call available on the ABC Listen app of both games, but if you're tuning in here, we hope that these two teams can put on a good show, and why shouldn't they? The Suns came here twice last year, won. We're here last week and got past the Western Bulldogs by 7 points. They start the round just outside the 8 with 5 wins and 6 losses. And the Adelaide Crows have been one of the stories of the season with their improvement through the first half of the year, seeing them start this round inside the top 8 with 6 wins and 5 losses, and fresh from the big scalp of beating the Brisbane Lions at the Adelaide Oval last week by 17 points. But they're not at home tonight. Is that an issue for them? They've been great at home, winning 5 of 7 games. They've only won 1 of their 4 away trips so far this year, the Crows, but they have been to Darwin twice in their history and won on both occasions, both against Melbourne in 2017 and 2019. And just to reiterate, so a win for the Dogs last week by the Suns over the Dogs, added to wins over North Melbourne and Hawthorn last year, means Gold Coast has won its last 3 games at this adopted home at Marara. As mentioned, the Dogs and the Cats are about to start. If you want to hear that, the AFL Listen, the ABC Listen app and the AFL button for that one. But what a gorgeous night for footy we've got here. And fantastic that I've got some help tonight, because after having his couple of days in COVID isolation, the man who shared many seasons with me up and down the East Coast, we were the Northern team for many years at the SCG and the Gabba. He's moved to Darwin these days, and Rob Cross is back with you on ABC Grandstand AFL. Crossy, it's nice that you're here to help me tonight.
Thanks, Quentin. But the team, you and the team did such an amazing job last week. It was a brilliant call to listen to. It was a fantastic game, and so I hope I don't get in the way tonight. But it is a great spectacle. Sadly for the Gold Coast Suns, there was a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. I looked out just as their banner went up, and they had about 40 young kids waving yellow and red flags, and they were about to run out, and the rope snapped. And so in the end, the players just walked through the banner. So let's hope it's not an omen for the night ahead, but they were fantastic last week, and let's hope they can repeat that dose. And
a couple of the interesting storylines just yesterday. Bailey Humphrey, who was so important kicking that last goal against the Bulldogs last week, he was the guy at pick 6 who was a part of the trade for Isaac Rankin, who plays for the Crows against his old club tonight. We've got a former Adelaide Premiership player, Rod Jamieson, 2-time All-Australian Joel Bowden, our experts. Gentlemen, nice to be on the microphone again with you two guys after a nice close game last week and the prospect of another really important game. I mean, we're all speculating at this point of the season, but I'd go as far to say if one of these two teams is to squeeze into the 8, it's these kind of games that they need to get the 4 points.
Q, good evening. Rob, welcome. And Joel, good to see you again. It is. Look, it's a big game for Adelaide. It's been built up that way, and the talk back in Adelaide has been they need to get on the road and start winning games, which you've highlighted too. And having the luxury of viewing the game last week, the Bulldogs, Joel, got out, kicked the first 3, and then Gold Coast came back, and I was super impressed the way that they played and then finished off to win the game.
Yeah, we were really worried early. Jomo had tipped against
3 goals 2 to nothing.
Gold Coast, and he was very worried about that. But they grounded out, and I spoke to a few of the players during the week. The club's been up here during the week. They've stayed the whole week. They've visited out to places like Wadair. They've been around in the community. They're doing a great job. And I caught up middle of the week with Stewie Juge and Jared Witts and Ben Long, and what they were saying was they actually went for territory. They knew that after quarter time, half time, the ball's going to get a little bit slippery. The humidity's up tonight. You might feel it under your armpits, Rob, or anywhere else, as you know, in the territory.
Or got a relapse of COVID.
But it'll be about territory again, I think. And the Gold Coast did that really well after getting jumped by the Dogs last week. They just grounded out, and like they were down by about 15 inside 50s, but they had that high conversion rate when it went inside 50. They were scoring goals. They were able to, just inch that win out. And as Stewie Jew said, he is very grateful to that that goal flag that the ball clipped as it bounced through the goal when we had the score review last week that we couldn't see. It actually clipped the back of the goal umpire's flag.
Wow.
And that's why it was a point.
Yeah, there was a couple of close calls in that game. As far as tonight's news at selection, Bodie Hewland is the sub for the Gold Coast Suns, Ned McHenry for Adelaide. So that means that Jai Farah, who was the sub last week, is the legitimate in for Gold Coast, and Mac Andrew, who didn't turn up to recovery on time after last week's game, he's out with a club suspension. So it's been a bad Big Mac experience for him in the Northern Territory. For the Crows, they welcome back Brodie Smith from a back injury. Mitch Hinge comes back from concussion. And Patrick Parnell, who was the sub last week, he's now a genuine out. He's not in the squad. Josh Worrell's been dropped as well. And Ned McHenry, he has now moved to the subs list from that team that beat Brisbane by 17 points at the Adelaide Oval last week. Final phases of warm-up are taking place. Let's get down to Charlie King, who's down on the boundary on another gorgeous night for Territory football. Charlie, this is a big game. Great to have your company.
Great to be here, Q, Rob, Rod, Joel. Fantastic to be part of the ABC team. Beautiful moon shining down on us. Looks magnificent from where I'm sitting in the... They're expecting 10,000. They haven't quite got that yet, but you know what they're like in Darwin. They'll turn up about halfway through the quarter. Temperature here, 27 degrees, 19 in Adelaide and 21 on the Gold Coast, but it's not temperature, it's the humidity. 66% is the humidity. And they were calling on ABC local radio during the week to give Marara Stadium a name, not the Fortress, but something completely different. And it came up as the most popular naming, the Melting Pot. So welcome to the Melting Pot.
Okay, we've got the Cauldron at Lang Park in Brisbane, and Marara is now the Melting Pot. Okay, I don't mind it. Is it going to stick?
Will it run?
Nah, Joel's shaking his head. He's not happy.
Yeah.
The sauna. Call it the sauna.
Yeah, I like the sauna. Quentin, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And Charlie's right. It's at 60-odd% humidity, and I think that means the Gold Coast have got a little edge.
Yeah.
But the ball's going to slip out of Blake's hands here tonight. The Gold Coast do train and play on the Gold Coast, which is significantly different to Adelaide in the winter.
Recall last week you spoke about the first half should be okay, and then after half time the dew will get a bit slipperier. Would that be right?
I reckon a bit earlier this week because of that humidity. So let's see how they go. I have been surprised the length of this warm-up. There was a fire alarm earlier, and so there was a disruption to the warm-up, and the Gold Coast were out on the ground because the entire contents of the Marara Stadium were ushered onto the field of play when the fire alarm went off around about 4:30, and so Gold Coast were here. They were out early. I am interested at the length of the warm-up, considering how warm it is up here in the sauna.
So Joel Bowden, former Tiger of 200-plus games, two-time All-Australian, and Rod Jamieson, premiership player with the Crows, your expert on this night of Grandstand AFL. Repeating those scores from earlier today, Port Adelaide by 55 points over Hawthorn, and Collingwood by 63 points over the West Coast Eagles. Siren welcomes our listeners through the Gold Coast to Marara in Darwin. Nice to have you on board. Quentin Hull and the team with you for the Suns versus the Adelaide Crows. If you're just joining us off the back of the National Rugby League, Warriors 30 over the Dolphins 8 earlier today, and the Titans going down to the South Sydney Rabbitohs by 46 points to 28. If you do want to hear Cronulla Sutherland up against the Brisbane Broncos, the ABC Listen app and the green button for ABC Sport, you can hear that call there, or perhaps twiddle the dial if you've got an analogue radio to pick up some of the other local stations around the place. 612 on the AM dial will have the league, but you've got us for the footy here. The Bulldogs versus Geelong has just got underway as well. A call of that game is available on the Listen app. Look for the red and blue AFL button. Bulldogs have got an early goal there, but perfect conditions and a chance for our experts Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden to go through the final phases of their predictions. And it's not an easy job tonight because these two teams look pretty evenly matched.
Well, I think they're both really similar, and just having a look at the midfield, obviously going to start in the middle. Jared Witt's up against Riley O'Brien, just two big bodies. I think Riley O'Brien does his best work in defence. Jared Witt just puts his big body in the middle of everything. So, and then the midfield, Matt Rowell was unbelievable last week. He had 29, 7 tackles, 23 contested, 16 clearances. Rory Laird did almost exactly the same, 27, 16 tackles, 7 clearances against Brisbane. And then you go through the other in the middle there too. Isaac Rankin played 48 games with the Gold Coast up against his old teammate. Noah Anderson's another Jet. I'm keen to see some of the matchups, Joel, as to who the defence, so Collins, Ballard, McPherson, Long, where will they go? And I think that'll be significant in terms of trying to curtail, the forward line of Adelaide.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a terrific win by Adelaide against Brisbane last week. And I think it's the first game that Rankin will play against his old club.
Yeah, that's right. And I know it's premature, but boy, isn't the who won the trade conversation going to be a good one as the careers of Isaac Rankin at Adelaide and Bailey Humphrey at Gold Coast continue, because not only did the Suns get Humphrey for the trade, they've still got 2 picks in this year's draft to come, a 3rd round and 4th rounder for that much talked about trade. But
Humphrey signed for 4 years.
Yeah, this week through to 2028, which is magnificent news for a club that has traditionally struggled to hang on to its top-ranked draft picks. Let's play footy for the second week in a row on the top end. Here's Rob Cross to get us underway.
The 222s are side by side. Ben Long has gone to Isaac Rankin. We're underway with Witts winning the first tap up against O'Brien. Handball comes out. Socking off the ground is Witts up towards centre half forward. Bursting through there was Lukosius. Just paddled it forward to his teammate in Fiorini. Was clever. A couple of Crows hunting their Suns' opponent. And Laird teams well in defence. Handball comes out from Miller up. 50-metre defensive arc. Short pass, a little bit too tall there. It goes out towards the wing. Lukosius scoops it up cleverly, so not too slippery yet. Gathered it neatly and centres the ball back into Swallow.
Dave Swallow, true centre wing on the outer side. Chips it forward. Here he is. Berry taking the mark for the Suns with both arms strapped. He's been pretty good the last couple of weeks. Long kick inside 50. King's the target. He's got 2 to beat. Brings it to ground level. It's roved by the Crows. Scholl knocks it down. Michael Annie receives the hand pass at left half back. Hands it to Miller. Hands it to Rochelle under pressure from Powell. Has to hand it back to Michael Annie. He gives it back to Scholl. Kicks from left half back towards the wing. Collins beats Walker to the ball. Spoils it away from Tex. Does his own roving. And then hits Holman on the pass 50 from goal. Holman kicks to the corridor to Casbolt. And Levi marks straight in front, 30 metres out for the Suns.
Well, really classy, wasn't it, too, there by the Gold Coast. Poor kick by Adelaide coming out of defence. Rochelle had options. He chose to backpedal, go around, put his team under pressure. Scholl had to kick long down the line. Sam Collins has been so good defensively. Much better entry by the Gold Coast.
Levi Casbolt. What a player he has become for the Suns. Really an emergency signing. He's kept his place in the team, and his right boot is true for the first goal of the night. He really gives it a roost, big Levi, and he's smashed it through at full post height for the first goal. The Suns are 1 straight. The Crows are yet to score. The time hasn't started on the scoreboard on the outer side, Joel. And Jamo, you might have to get that fixed up, but I can tell you we have been playing 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and I think the Adelaide Crows have had 10 handballs. They went handball. The pressure was immense, which creates that turnover. A couple of good inside 50s. I was surprised to see the second kick. Normally you go back from 45 metres out and have a shot, especially early, but hits up Casbolt on a good lead, and geez, he smashed that through 20 metres into the grandstand.
It's a nice little 9-9 too. He got underneath it.
Back in the middle. O'Brien.
Laird too.
And Witts. Ball back into the turf at Marara. Witts wins the tap again. Keys was good. Comes out to Dawson on the left boot. Inside 50, Rochelle under it. Big spoil from behind. Comes down to Keys. Handball over the top. Rankin tapped it on, looking for a teammate. Collins stood in the way, though, for the Gold Coast Suns. It's slapped forward out of defensive 50 by the Suns. Goes past Rowell, picked up by Laird. Laird sweeps the handball out towards the wing. Gave it to Dawson. Comes to Hinge. Hinge's kick is brilliantly smothered by Rowell, who was terrific last week. And it goes out of bounds between wing and half forward in front of the Morris Rioli grandstand.
You got all 10 coaches' votes, Matty Rowell. And certainly was a beast in the back half of that game. So boundary throw in. Just forward of the wing for the Crows. O'Brien got to the front of the pack, taps it back over the boundary line before Humphrey can regather.
Just looking down here on the boundary, Adelaide. Nick Murray has come to the boundary, doing a couple of run-throughs, Charlie, with the doctor here. Not ideal start.
Thrown in from the boundary. Laird squeezes it out to Scholl. He slipped and was taken high, but the umpire decided that as he was falling down, there'll be no free kick.
Time clock's working, Crossy. It's good news. They've caught up to 4 minutes played.
Tossed up just half forward, left half forward for the Crows. Kicked around the corner there by Anderson, up towards the wing on the bounce. Michael Lanny sees it out of bounds, and to that player that just mentioned by Rod Jamieson, Nick Murray, who's come off. Maybe it was the heavy bumping pre-match he was doing with Riley O'Brien in the warm-ups. Jamo hurt his shoulders, perhaps.
Yeah, Adelaide can't afford to lose him. He's been a tremendous Dow defender.
Well, both teams have been pretty blessed with injury. That's a shallow throw in. Both ruckmen tangle and couldn't get to the drop. Falls to the foot of the pack, and Swallow eventually roves and kicks the Suns towards half forward. Lukosius has a go, can't pick up. Holman arrives, tackled by Michaelani. He's swung around. He's going to be called for holding the ball. Great tackle from Max Michaelani, and he is rewarded with the free kick. It was a big night for Nick Holman last week. His 100th game, he kicked a couple of goals. Enjoyed the Mindle Beach markets as well. He was spotted there on Thursday night, as were a number of the other Suns players, as Michaelani from half-back kicks to the wing, over the head of Rochelle, out the back row by Smith of the Crows. Kicks to half-forward, no one there. Met by Ballard on the half-volley at right half-back for Gold Coast. Kicks to the wing. Holman couldn't mark. Ricochet ends up in the hands of the Crows. Little chip pass there from Dawson, marked by Smith. He moves it on to Laird, running through the wing, kicks inside 50 for Adelaide. Collins for the Suns flew at it and almost took the mark. Ricochet goes to Long, hand pass put McPherson under pressure. Fogarty applies the tackle and wins a free kick for holding the ball, and the big grip of Darcy Fogarty has earned him the first set shot of the night for the Crows, kicking to the Michael Long centre end.
I was intrigued that Adelaide have gone to Josh Rochelle on a couple of occasions, like an attempted contested high mark, which is unusual when they've got other options. Darcy Fogarty, Sam Collins got his hands to the football, who is manning Taylor Walker, and just fumbled, didn't he, and kept the footy in the defensive area.
Well, 33 goals last year, Fogarty. He's 16-18 so far this season. 45 degrees to the left. He's hit that with his right boot across the face of goal to the goal line. Won't have the journey. Punch through for a point, and it's Adelaide's first score of the night. Gold Coast won straight, Crows one behind, and we've travelled 6 minutes. Meanwhile at Docklands, it's the Bulldogs 2-3-15 over the Cats 1-1-7.
Going for his 100th career goal there, Q. As the kick comes out to the Morris Rioli grandstand side for the Suns. Big spoil over the top by Butts. Clever by Rochelle. Brought it to ground level. Pedler was taken around the shoulders. Arguably a free kick play on the call. Davies gives it off. And the kick towards the wing. Casbolt strong. Wrestled his opponent on knee there to Duday. He's gone down. Casbolt kicks it in front of the running teammate Humphrey. He's in front of Millerer. Plays it to his own advantage because you get the handball away. Miller does well to tackle. Laird comes in. Mops up. Handball to his teammate. And a nice little chip pass by Hinge. Finds Saligo. There's the slippery ball. Maybe dropped the mark. Comes to Murray on the wing on the left boot. Kicks it up towards half forward. Fogarty uses his body. Push Collins out of the way and then runs onto the footy. Shrugs a tackle. He runs to 55 and spears a beautiful left foot pass to Rochelle. 35 metres out. He wants to play on quickly. All alone in the square is Walker. Running back is Long, who did extremely well not to infringe and sees it out of bounds in the right forward pocket. Wasted opportunity, Crows.
And while all that's happening, I've, Crossy, been having a look at Duday. He's getting his right knee looked at on the bench. He's right beneath us, and Charlie King's not far away. So he doesn't look overly concerned. I think he's wrenched it in some capacity, but certainly he was quick to come from the ground to get it assessed. Boundary throw-in with the Crows in attack. Shallow throw-in. Taken by O'Brien. Snaps on goal. He's kicked it. He has kicked the goal, Riley O'Brien, and that puts the Crows in front. And another of these shallow throw-ins, which requires ruckman to be aware, and Riley O'Brien was just that. Crows 1-1-7 lead the Suns 1-6. We've travelled 8 minutes of the first term. Down to Charlie King on the boundary. That knee injury happened very close at range to your eyes.
Yes, right in front of me. He went down, clutched that right knee. They're working furiously on him now, and Murray went straight on, so he's okay. And Saligo going through the warm-up, so he's keen to get a taste of it all too.
And some good situational awareness there. The ruckman, you know, they're not known for their lateral thinking, the ruckman. Once you get over 196 centimetres, you start to struggle, I hear. But lateral thinking in front has probably watched the replay from last week, Quentin, with those shallow throw-ins and gets a goal.
There's a few shockers last week, weren't there?
Crows by a point, 1-1 to 1 straight. Sloane on the left boot wins the clearance. Murphy playing in front, missed the footy. Kick around the corner in the Holman direction, couldn't get on the half volley. Scholl does well, back to Sloane on the left foot. Pokes a little kick to Smith, back in this week. Important part of the Swans lineup, the Crows lineup, I should say. Lovely handball it was to Scholl, to Walker, to Dawson on the run, I should say, and Dawson pumps it through. 2 goals in less than 30 seconds, and the skipper has got his first for the night. So O'Brien the first, then to Jordan Dawson, and 2-1-13 the Crows plays the Sun 1 straight 6. Sun started slowly last week, and we're seeing a repeat.
It's where Adelaide have improved enormously, Joel. Like their cleanliness are in the football. They're happy to go into the middle of the ground. Rory Sloane comes out wide. They go back into the middle. Great kick. And then the run of Jordan Dawson, and Rao was hot on his tail as well. Went to the right, then swung back onto his favoured left, and just a nice, easy kick, and he covers the distance. Well played, Adelaide.
Beautiful finish there. Left footers. There's something about left footers.
There is something about it, isn't there? Hey?
Get a lot of cheap kicks around half back.
Collins is playing well. I think I've got the record of the most uncontested possessions ever in a game. Just saying.
You have.
Joel Bowden with us on Grandstand AFL. Centre bounce. Goes to the foot of the big man. O'Brien eventually with a hand pass out the back for Adelaide to Millerer, who's tackled by Humphrey. Breaks it eventually, Millerer, and gets his right boot to it to kick the Crows to half forward. Fogarty from behind spoils away from the Suns. Now McPherson was infringing there. Yes, giving away a free kick on Rochelle. He held onto him when he didn't have the ball. In fact, it's Murphy. My apologies. Murphy, who's 60 from goal on the point of the centre square, kicks to full forward, looking for Thilthorpe, couldn't take the mark. Roving is long of Gold Coast, his clearing kick is smothered. Ball to the deck at the top of the square, Rankin foraging forward, can't pick it up. Pressure from Davies there to lock it in for the Suns, and the ump lets them play. Rankin comes out, tries to get a boot to it, can't. Ballard's held without it, play on. Davies eventually picks it up, kicks it out on the full for the Suns, so this will be a free kick for Adelaide. 60 out at left half forward. Ump let them go for a long time there, and Mitch Hinge is going to take the free kick for the Crows.
Lockie Murphy was the other one, both left footers, so tough from where they are, but I want to go back to Joel shortly. He said, I think I hold. I'm going to ask what the number
sets
is.
It up. Davies, courageous, filled the hole in front of Walker coming out from the goal square, and he marks about 20 metres out from the goal the Suns are defending. At the Michael Long centre end, he goes into the left back pocket. Sam Collins marks in front of Taylor Walker. Collins short, so they're chipping it neatly around the boundary line to Ballard. Ballard has Fogarty on the mark. And so slow build up here, deep in defence the Suns. Now Ballard goes long down the line. Murray was there, almost a mark to Lukosius. He fights on at ground level. Murray corrals him and it goes out of bounds between wing and half forward. Out of side, Crows just into attack, and it's the Crows 2-1-13, Suns 1 straight 6, 12 gone first quarter.
And McHenry looks like a sub who's ready to be injected. As
well, they're doing his knee, Q. They're actually just sprayed it there. He's a bit hot and sweaty, so they're going to strap his right knee. Tom Duda it is, and it looks like he'll come back on.
Throwing out of side, and Holman's given away a free kick for high contact, and that has hurt Murphy. He was down and didn't move for a moment. Now he's picked up by Millerer and looks okay to continue. So just forward of centre on the edge of the centre square. Murphy with a long left foot kick to full forward for Adelaide. Huge pack of players. Off hands, it's roved by the Suns. Ainsworth hands it to Farah. Clearing kick straight to Miller at half forward for Adelaide, who dropped the mark under pressure from the Suns. Anderson. Ball still alive out there. Miller has another go, 60 from goal. Hands it off to Sloane. Kick smothered. He gets it back. He has another go, chips it. Flying high Jones took a mark. I don't think that went 15, but he went high and took a grab and paid it to Chase Jones on attacking 50 at right half forward. Certainly went up 15.
Well, he's going to probably have to kick it from right on the 50. Normally a very good kick in front of goal. He looks like he's going to struggle with the distance.
From 60 metres out, kicks it to the goal square. Walker got first hands. Roving is Fogarty, and he kicks the goal. He was the lone man waiting out the back of the pack And from point-blank range, he gathered, swivels, and kicks his first of the night. That's 3 for the Crows. 3-1-19, plays 1 straight 6. That's now 17 goals for the season for the big Crows key forward.
The Gold Coast started all right, Joel, but 4 inside 50s apiece. Adelaide now out to 9 inside 50s, and the last 5 or so minutes have really taken control in this first quarter.
And Fogarty's been dynamic. I mean, he set one up earlier. He's had a shot which slid across the face, and now he's kicked a goal. He looks good. He looks really good. He looks like he's running on top of the ground, and the Crows are out to a flyer. 3 goals, 1 goal straight.
It's only an indication of maintaining possession of the football. Uncontested, 12 to the Gold Coast, 26 possessions to Adelaide. So controlling the football on the outside.
Levi Casbolt into the ruck for the Suns and gets the clearance as well on his left boot. He was up against Thilthorpe on that occasion. Here comes Rosas, pretty good left boot normally. Doesn't make clean contact, and it's away to the left-hand side through for a behind. So nice takeaway by the Suns. Couldn't capitalise. 1-1-7, plays 3-1-19. 15 minutes gone first quarter.
So a neat 2 goals the difference. Meanwhile, it's 2 points the difference at Docklands. Doggies 2-3, Crows... Cats 2-1. Call available on the ABC Listen app as Smith runs out of the goal square for Adelaide on the inbound. His kick's a good one, marked by Thilthorpe beyond half-back on the edge of the centre square. Chips in field on the 45, marked by Keys, hands it back to Smith. Running hard through the centre of Marara. Drives Adelaide to attacking 50. Good first hand from Dawson, couldn't complete the mark. McPherson pinches his pocket at the Rove. He's tackled, got a hand pass clear. Rowell picks it up for the Suns. Kick is smothered by Pedler and regathers. He grabs it on goal, gets the bend. What a goal from Luke Pedler. On the weekend we celebrate 30 years since the Gatting ball. That had a bit of worn magic about it. Oh, hold on.
It's the umpire saying it's touched. Is that what?
We're going for a review.
Nowhere near the post. Do you want to fill in some time, Joel? How many uncontested possessions was it?
Rod, Gemma, you've jumped on that. We'll have to investigate that at quarter time. But that's another dynamic bit of play from the Crows, running off half-back, like slingshotting from half-back. And
what are we looking at here?
It doesn't look like it's come within half a metre of the goalpost.
Why are we wasting time on this? It is...
The umpire, it seemed, was on the left-hand goalpost, so he's maybe guessing it's snicked the right-hand goalpost on the way through, and it's missed it by half a metre.
That is a terrible waste of time. That is officiousness in the extreme, because there is no way. Like, you've got how many sets of eyes on that? If they can't get that right, just get on with the game. Like, that was just a beautiful... I'm 100 metres away and I called that going through on the bend. And you got 4 officials wasting our time. 4-1-23 to 1-1-7.
Got a cup of water over there, Rob?
Well, what do you reckon? What do you reckon?
Quentin, I couldn't agree more with you. Sometimes we over-adjudicate the game. In the earlier game, the CAFL played their first rep game for 20 years. Last minute of the game, the ball goes long inside forward 50. They're up by a point. The umpire calls a blocking free. There was about 16 players around the ball. He pulled one out. Waratahs, the NTFL premiers, kicked a goal. With 10 seconds to go, they win the game. Over-officiating.
We might be able to go to Charlie King shortly with some news on Duday on the boundary as the Crows from the middle. Keys does well to step through a couple of players, or Pedler was taken high, put his head over the football, and some tough work in there by the Suns midfield. Pedler wins the free kick after kicking that amazing goal. Long in towards full forward. Great mark by Walker. Just got rid of Collins at the last moment, and he marks 45 metres out, 45-degree angle. The distance will not be a problem for this man. A wonderful kick of the football for their 5th goal after Levi Casbolt kicked the opening goal of the match at the 2nd minute for the Suns. It has been all the Adelaide Crows.
His 249th game, Taylor Walker. Kicked over 560 goals, 26 for the year.
To become the 5th Crows goal scorer for the night. The 18-minute mark of the first quarter and a 24-point lead, and Walker bangs it straight through the middle to the Michael Long centre end. It's 5-1, 31 Adelaide. The Suns 1-1-7.
Charlie, we'll just get further news on Tom Duday, who's still trying to get that right knee going on the boundary in front of you.
Yeah, he's a bit proper. He's just not sure they've strapped it, but I can tell you that the sub still has the polo on, so he He's not ready to go on yet, but they're giving him every chance here, and why not do that? He's a great player.
Almost 19 minutes too. When the Gold Coast have got it out of the centre, they've actually looked smart and gone forward and looked like they're going to score really quickly. But to your point, Joel, that last movement, I think it's certainly a tactical ploy. Just getting the football on really quickly, run, give it to the guy that's coming from behind, support, get over the lines and put the defence of the Gold Coast under pressure.
12 entries for 6 scores, Jamo, 5-1. It's been a blistering conversion rate for the Crows to start this one. Trying to back up their win against the Lions last week with the Queensland double. From the bounce, Witts taps down for the Suns. Back of the pack, whistle on play. Free kick, Gold Coast. Anderson wants to take the advantage, Ump won't let him. Rowell was being manhandled, and Laird will stand the mark. Rowell now plays on with the right boot, kicks Gold Coast into attack. Coming through as Casbolt got a finger, couldn't take the mark about 40 from goal. Underneath the pack, Davies, hand pass ineffective. Well, for a moment it was in the hands of Hinge. He let go of it, and then Berry pinched his pocket, got tackled, and is holding the ball. So that'll be a free kick to Dawson on defensive 50. Left half back for Adelaide. He's a beautiful left foot kick, Jordan Dawson. Roosts it down the Morris Reality stand wing, and in front, Phil Thorpe takes the grab ahead of Ballard.
It was a terrific grab too tall, the stretch was on. Playing in front of Walker this time was Collins. He returns the favour for the Suns, and he marks at right half back. Chips carefully to Fiorini. Rankin's been asked to step back on the mark.
Charlie Ballard's the number 1 intercept mark in the competition, 5 last week. He's going to have to think about how he plays tonight against Riley Thorpe.
To a pack on the wing where Witts was in front and the tall man took the grab. He kicks up in the Casbolt direction inside attacking 50 at right half forward, gathered by Miller, who's been incredibly busy. Slipped out of Hinge's hands and out of bounds around 30 metres from the Suns' goal at right half forward. Kicking to the airport end at Marara.
A couple of balls have been slipping out of hands already. I think this humidity has set in, and let's see how this boundary umpire goes throwing it in.
4-3 to 4-1, Dogs in front over the Cats at Docklands. That throw-in's okay. Witts gets to it in the forward pocket for the Suns. Taps down to Rowell. He's tackled by Keys. Ump's watching, waiting, and asking for a ball up.
So good around the stoppages last week. Matthew Rowell. Ben Keys has gone to him.
He's almost lost his boot there from the tap down. Crows rush it out of defence, but the kick only falls to Collins, who kicks the Suns back into attack. Big fly in the pack there from Murray. Got a hand for the Crows, couldn't mark. Over at Smith, he picks up and is tackled by Berry, and will have a ball up in the right forward pocket for the Suns. Left back pocket for the Crows, who lead it by 4 goals at 5-1 to 1-1.
Rory Laird's calling out Matty Rowell, I think, for a blood rule. Yep.
Well, it'll also allow him to get his boot back on properly, because he had some issues getting it on a moment ago.
Geez, those shorts are high, aren't they?
Well, they're not Capper-esque.
They're not quite.
Anderson comes on to replace the high-shorted Rowell. Be a ball up 30 metres out from the Suns' goal. Desperately needing one before quarter time. 22 minutes played in the first term. 1-1 plays 5-1. Crows lead by 24. O'Brien up against Witts. Keys onto the right boot. Kicks it quickly straight down the throat of Powell, though. From about 70 metres out, waving instructions to lead into the pocket. A whistle has gone, and it's going to be 50 metres against Rankin, and the 2 former teammates had a bit of push and shove. Rankin didn't like that, and so there'll be a 50-metre penalty. The Suns player Powell will line up from about 10 metres out from goal and will surely get their second. And I've noticed a bit this year, Rod, that Rankin is playing a bit more aggression. I didn't see a lot of the Suns last year, but he seems to be really into the push and shove and standing his ground as he did just then.
Well, I think because players are coming at him too, and we weren't unsure as to how that approach would happen tonight. But certainly there's a couple of blokes that have gone into him, and he gets down low. I don't think he instigates, but he doesn't mind responding, does he? And we just saw that. Was it 2009? 41, uncontested. Joel Bell.
Powell for goal from about 15 metres out directly in front of the airport end. Gets the Suns. Oh, he's missed. It is away to the left, and that is a bad miss by the Gold Coast. So they're 1-2-8 to the Crows. 5-1, 31. 23 minutes gone first quarter.
That hurts. That really hurts.
Well, it was a gift which has turned out to be just the minor score. Smith again runs beyond the goal mouth and runs his measure before kicking long towards right half back from the inbound. Target was Pedler, couldn't mark. Rode by Anderson of the Suns. Ham pass ends up with Roses, who tries to bounce away from Scholl and does. Hand passes infield. Got it to Humphrey, gave it to Anderson, gave it back to Humphrey. He's getting a free kick.
Too high.
Taken high by Ben Keys. And Bailey Humphrey, who just has casually announced that he's re-signed through to 2028, the number 6 draft pick of last year. High kick towards full forward. Casbolt, the leaper, couldn't take the mark. Under the pack. Murray has an air swing for Adelaide trying to clear it. So Fiorini gets a hand pass to Witts. The big man gets it to his toe and kicks it across the face for a point. Adelaide by 22 at 5-1-31 to 139.
I think Jared Witt's toe would be bigger than my foot, I would have thought.
He's trying to match the goal that his opposite number in the ruck scored for the Crows, Riley O'Brien, earlier this quarter. One of 5 goal scorers for Adelaide. They lead 5-1-31 to 139 now. 25 minutes gone first quarter.
The test that it is for Adelaide too, Rob, on the road, it is for the Gold Coast too to back it up after such a good win against the Bulldogs last week against a quality side.
Great spoil by Collins, but only as far as an Adelaide Crows defender who pumps it out towards the wing. One-on-one contest there. Crows player knocked off the footy. Support coming from Long of the Suns. It's out at right half forward for Adelaide. Well done there by Dawson. Slaps it forward, gains about 20 metres to a teammate, but he's seen over the boundary line by Long. And there'll be a boundary throw in. That was Rochelle of the Crows. So 60 metres out, right half forward. Crows looking for their 6th goal, leading by 22 points.
Rod Cross, Quentin Hull, Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden in the box. Charlie King down on the boundary at Marara Oval in Darwin on Grandstand AFL. Good start for the Crows here. Boundary throw in right half forward for Adelaide. Witts, though, clean possession, taps it down to Anderson, clearance Suns. Long kick towards the St Mary's wing. Doesn't find an immediate target. Casbolt was there. Murray was with him, and Murray sees it out of play. Boundary throw in. That's correct geography. St Mary's wing. Joel, you happy with that in this venue?
We can call it the St Mary's wing because Ben Long's out there, and we had dinner there with the Gold Coast players over at the St Mary's Club. Michael Long and the family put on a feast from, I think it was Wednesday night.
Boundary throw in. Ruckman share it to the foot of the pack. Davies is able to emerge for the Suns. Hand pass to Humphrey. Rush kick inside 50. Ricochets to Ainsworth, who's tackled immediately by Jones. No prior. Ball up, 40 from the Suns' goal. Adelaide 5-1-31 to Gold Coast 1-3-9.
They're inside 50, but the pressure is enormous by Adelaide, not giving them the space and time they need.
Impressive tackling, isn't it? O'Brien reached around the top with the left mitt, won the tap against Witts, comes outside 50. Little give to Joel Jeffrey, the local player from 60, kicks it long in the Casbolt direction. 2 strong men there, goes over the back. Holman, will it get to him? Was it touched? Did it carry all the way and go through? Yes, it did. Goal to the Suns from Joel Jeffrey. There was a wrestle in the goal square. Holman tried to get to the footy, but in the end, the ball dribbled over the line. It didn't matter for him. A 6-pointer for the Gold Coast. 2-3-15. A welcome one closing in on quarter time. The Crows are 5-1-31.
A little bit extra carry there. It looks like the flags have blown up slightly, and Joel Jeffrey from, as you called it, about 60 metres, carried the pack, and the ball's run through in the airport end. He's kicked his first goal for the night.
That's where the goals were last week. Is that right?
Yeah, and it sort of feels a little bit like last week with the Suns slow out of the blocks. The Crows making a bit more of it than the Bulldogs did last week. Quarter time at Docklands, 2-point lead to the Western Bulldogs, 5-4-34 to Geelong's 5-2-32. A reminder, a call available on the ABC Listen app. All games available on the app. Look at the red and blue buttons, either AFL or AFL Extra. We're on the Extra button tonight. There's now a whistle at the stoppage. Not a fair contest at the ruck, according to the ump from his bounce. So he's going to throw it up in the middle. O'Brien and Witts ready to go. Witts taps down. No one really at the Rove. Keys has a go for Adelaide. Hand pass. Ends up with Anderson of Gold Coast. It's rumbled to half forward. He hands it to Humphrey. Kicks it inside 50 for the Suns. Over the head of Roses. Adelaide with the numbers back there. Bit of pressure on Butts. He just allowed his teammates to come through. Hand pass ends up trying to find Laird, who can't keep it in play. Came from Jones. Out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. Charlie on the boundary.
Sub because... McHenry's about to go on, so Dudo out of the out of the competition.
Good on you, Charlie. Yeah, right knee injury for Tom Duday, which doesn't look extreme, but certainly not good enough for him to return. Boundary throw in right half forward for Gold Coast. Laird had a go, got nudged off it, kicked off the ground by Sloane towards the boundary line. It spins like a top right near the paint. Humphrey picks up for the Suns. Kick is, put off by Saligo's tackle. Rochelle hand passes to Walker. Walker rushes a kick for Adelaide to half forward. Saligo's there, tackled off it by Collins, and the Suns come away. Picked up by Farah, hands it to the wing for Lukosius. From hard on the boundary, true centre wing. High kick towards half forward. Casbolt crashes the pack. Ball to ground level. Roses tried to tap it to his advantage. Miller pinches it. Hands it to Michael Lanny. His hand pass was a throw. Free kick to Ben King, who makes the tackle for the Suns. Hard on the boundary in the right forward pocket. 25 out.
Adelaide got caught a couple of times, didn't they, down on the boundary? They should have kicked. The pressure from the Gold Coast was good. Mitch Hinge copped another one high, just coming back from concussion. Brave to stand in front of Casbolt.
Right foot banana for Ben King. Near side for a point. Not missing by much. And 15 the diff at Adelaide 5-1, 31 to Gold Coast 2-4-16.
Miller to bring the ball back into play. Little side shuffle and pumps it 60 metres into the middle. On the bounce to Fogarty, stretches up with one hand, shrugs the Farah tackle, gives to Laird. Laird defensive side of the centre, kicks up towards the left half forward. Walker's got two to beat. Spoil over the back from Collins was good. Clever play by Sloane, slapped into the path of Shelley, though he's got some company now. Sure, Shelley did well to stand his ground to his own advantage, then lays a very strong tackle at centre half forward, is holding the ball. Umpire sweats on it and said no, ball up. Inside the Crows attacking 50. 30 minutes gone first quarter. They lead by 15 points. 5-1 to 2-4. Suns steadying after a great run of goals by Adelaide. Tap over the back. Sloane comes in to lay a tackle, and it's not going anywhere. 25 metres out directly in front of the Crows' goal.
You called it too. You see, like how good was Sloane just to keep it alive, go forward. Just needed to see McPherson stay over it.
Ball up at full forward for Adelaide. Again, pretty hard footy to win. Sloane has a go, crashing through Murphy, couldn't come away with it. Picked up by Farrer of Gold Coast. Hand pass to the pocket. Pressure on Jeffrey, who's tackled over the boundary line and will be thrown in right in front of the Michael Long centre. At that northern extremity of the ground.
Oh, look at this. They're not even going to get there.
Bit of a shallow one again. Oh, they get there eventually, Jamo. Both ruckmen share it, hit it back over and say, have another go. Over the boundary line. Chunk it in once more. Adelaide 5-1-31, leading Gold Coast 2-4-16. About 2.5 minutes of playing time left in the first turn.
Left forward pocket. Wits. O'Brien, that's a little deeper. Throw in. Oh, grabbed by Keys on the bounce, and he squirrels it through. Not quite as exciting as one we saw earlier from Pedler, a little bit closer to goal, and that went straight through the middle, so there's no doubt about the two white flags being waved this time. A sixth goal in the dying stages of the first quarter, a nasty blow to the Suns. Crows have 6-1-37, Suns 2-4-16.
Well, no, Anderson's just throwing his weight around. He's wanted to make it known. But that's where Matty Rowell will get tested on those occasions. Ben Keys goes to him around the stoppages. He goes deep into Gold Coast forward line, around the middle of the ground. Matty Rowell has to be really strong defensively the other way.
And 6 goals, 6 goal kickers, Joel, for the Crows.
And they are dominating the scoreboard here. And it's just interesting there, a dribble kick through from 30 metres out, and there's no one in line with the contest and the goals. I mean, even Collins was 15 metres off centre, picking up his man. You know, times gone by, they would have had 3 blokes on the goal line.
Joel Bowden with you on Grandstand AFL. Centre bounce. O'Brien gets a hand to it to get a clearance away for Adelaide. Hacks a kick to the half-forward flank. Met by Pedler. He couldn't pick up under pressure. Picked up, though, by Laird of the Crows. He rushes a kick to full forward. Thilthorpe crashes the pack. Can't take the mark. Roving in the pocket. Fogarty. Hand passes out the back. Left boot from Murphy. From 40 out. Hooking to the goal mouth. But Ballard is back. That time as the goalkeeper to take the grab in the last line of defence for the Suns.
Waiting for someone to break. He kicks long outside defensive 50. towards left half back. The Crows are going to send it back inside, though, in towards the right forward pocket. Some pushing before the ball arrives. The umpire said all okay, just holding their ground, and it goes out of bounds about 30 metres around from the Crows' goal. 33 minutes gone, first quarter. It's a long one, but the Crows have banged on 6. 6-1-37, Suns 2-4-16.
That's the difference, Crossy, too, isn't it? 2-4. No, accuracy in front, the pressure that is applied.
Walker will do the ruck work up against Witts. A little kick out of the contest is right in the lap of Laird, though. And Rory Laird will line up almost on the quarter-time siren from about 50 metres, 45-degree angle, out at right half forward to become a 7th Crow goal scorer.
3-time best and fairest, just continually accumulates the football, normally goes at around about 70-80 into the low 90s in terms of his
got the leg
efficiency.
So
yeah. Yep.
50. Approaches the paint now, runs around a little bit, makes it 49 and kicks it out of bounds on the full. In the right forward pocket, 6-1 remains the score for the Crows, 2-4-16 the Suns.
And distance continues to get players. They try and do something different. He's kicked it 10-15 metres through, but his accuracy goes out the window when he starts to run around a bit and try and get that extra 15 metres.
Farrell with a long inbound from the left back pocket for the Suns. Casbolt to the front of the pack, 2 grab mark. There's about 6 in that pack, and Levi too good there, defensive side of the wing for Gold Coast. Will he have enough time? About half a minute left. He kicks high towards half forward. Going back in the hole, O'Brien couldn't mark for Adelaide. Roving is Swallow for the Suns. Hands it to King. Snaps it from 60 inside the attacking zone. Into the pocket. Berry gathers. Jones tackles him. Got a hand pass clear though to Jeffrey. He's running over this turf like he knows it as he does. His hand pass to Holman. Sold him a dump, and Holman is pinged for holding the ball. And Michael Annie will take the free kick for Adelaide in the right back pocket. And that will all be but the last action in this first term, and a good one at that for the Adelaide Crows. 6 individual goal kickers for the Crows. The only bad news in that term for them, Tom Duday subbed out with a right knee injury, but the scoreboard hit by O'Brien, Dawson, Fogarty, Pedler, Walker and Keys. While for the Gold Coast, Casbolt and Jeffrey kicking goals. Quarter time, Adelaide 6-1-37 over Gold Coast 2-4-16. Second term's underway at Docklands. 3-point lead to the Western Bulldogs. Doggies 5-5-35 lead the Cats 5-2-32. That was after earlier today Port Adelaide defeated Hawthorn by 55 points. Final scoreline at the Adelaide Oval, Port 23-13, 151 to Hawthorn's 14-12-96, a record 9th win in a row for the Power. And for Collingwood, a 63-point win over West Coast over in Perth. Collingwood 18 goals, 12, 120 to West Coast's 8-9-57. In the NRL today, the Warriors victorious over the Dolphins 30-8. South Sydney beat Gold Coast 46 points to 28. Currently, Cronulla Sutherland taking on the Brisbane Broncos down in the Shire. Latest score there, 31 minutes in. Sharks 6 lead the Broncos 4. And an important night in the Super Rugby Pacific coming up with the Western Force playing for a chance to make the finals after the Queensland Reds couldn't secure their position today. Reds were beaten by Fiji 41-17, which means if the Force beat the Chiefs later on tonight, they will be in. Other games today, Hurricanes have beaten the Crusaders 27-26, and half an hour in Moana Pacifica 19 leading the New South Wales Waratahs 7. But here, it's the Crows by 21 points at quarter time. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday night of footy on Grandstand AFL.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
From the 7th of June, join us for the World Test Championship final between Australia and India.
Cummins on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green.
The Women's Ashes.
Beaumont's who's struck on the pad, and Perry's appealing, and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes and involves to Smith, who works it away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand Cricket.
Live and commercial free this winter on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. Just look for the red cricket button.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Collins beats Walker to the ball, spills it away from Tex, does his own roving, and then hits Holman on the past 50 from goal. Holman kicks to the corridor to Casbolt. And Levi marks straight in front, 30 metres out for the Suns. Levi Casbolt. He's kept his place in the team, and his right boot is true for the first goal of the night. Boundary throw in with the Crows in attack. Shallow throw in. Taken by O'Brien. Snaps on goal. He's kicked it. He has kicked the goal, Rolly O'Brien, and that puts the Crows in front. Marked by Keys. Hands it back to Smith. Running hard through the centre of Marara. Drives Adelaide to attacking 50. Good first hand from Dawson. Couldn't complete the mark. McPherson pinches his pocket at the Rove. He's tackled. Got a hand pass clear. Rowell picks it up for the Suns. Kick is smothered by Pedler. And regathers. He grubbers it on goal. Gets the bend. What a goal from Luke Pedler.
Pedler wins the free kick after kicking that amazing goal. Long in towards full forward. Great mark by Walker. Just got rid of Collins at the last moment, and he marks 45 metres out, 45-degree angle. The 18-minute mark of the first quarter and a 24-point lead. And Walker bangs it straight through the middle to the Michael Long centre end.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Action from the first quarter at Marara Oval in Darwin on a gorgeous Saturday night. This round 12 of the 2023 AFL season being brought to you through the services of ABC Sport. Quentin Hull, Rob Cross, Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden in the box. Charlie King's down on the boundary. It's Adelaide 6-1-37, Gold Coast 2-4-16. We just heard the great voice of Jim Maxwell there and a promo at quarter time. Bit of news out of the cricket world. David Warner plans to retire after the SCG test. Retire from test cricket, that is. Now, he's been quite forward and presumptuous in that manner, suggesting that he's still in control of his future. But David Warner says he wants to retire after the SCG test against Pakistan.
What's his average? It's like 9 or something, isn't it, at the moment? In the last half a dozen innings?
You take out the 200 that he scored in the Boxing Day test against South Africa.
Yes.
And it's not great, but that's the news coming out of the camp. And a reminder, the World Test Championship starts Wednesday night against India, and the ABC Listen app is the place to hear all of that ball-by-ball cricket of not only the men's and women's Ashes, but we'll have the World Test Championship next week as well. Quick look at Docklands. 8 points the diff there. Doggies lead the Cats 6-5-41 to Geelong's 5-3-33. Rod Jamieson, Joel Bowden, thoughts on the first term here?
Well, it was all Adelaide, I think, wasn't it, too? Just their efficiency in front of goal. They've got their hands on the football. They look to use it cleaner. 71% disposal efficiency versus 55 the Gold Coast. Inside 50s, that's what Stewie Dew will be lamenting. It's 16-15 in favour of the Gold Coast. So they've had the footy in there. The tackling pressure by Adelaide and how close they are playing, I guess, the likes of Holman when they're up forward too. Ainsworth, they're not getting the space that they would like to be able to settle down. I think the positive, Humphries has had 7, Anderson with 5, Casbox had 3 marks, so they know they're going to him. So the big man's clunking him early. Rory Laird's had 13, Brody Smith off the half-back has had 8. So Gold Coast have got to find a way to shut one or both of those players down.
And Joel, the famous icebox at Marara has been used by the Crows at quarter time.
Yeah, I think we saw both clubs quickly go into the air-conditioned room there that's just behind the bench, trying to cool down. I am a bit worried that if the Crows continue to handball as much as it goes later into this game and the ball does slip and slide around, they won't be as efficient. But as you said, Jamo, going forward, they've scored 6 goals, 1, even though they've come out of the first quarter with less inside 50s. Now, why do they have less inside 50s? Because they're kicking the goals when they go inside, clearly. Like, they're not having repeat inside 50s. They're just being very effective and very efficient.
Contested, the Gold Coast are pretty competitive, 39-44, 10 more uncontested on the outside to Adelaide. So, big test.
Rochelli's gone into the middle. He's got Davies for company. O'Brien and Witts in ruck. Witts taps it backwards. Davies first to the footy. Rochelli for company. Lays a strong tackle. He's had it for a long time. He's allowed to... No, he wasn't. It was a holding the ball decision. Rochelli did well. He just sweated on him. And Davies got rid of it in an illegal manner. So Rochelli from inside the centre square goes very long. Walker pushing and shoving. A big spoil came from Collins at the back towards the boundary line. Running hard at it there was Ainsworth. Well done by Long. Gave it back to Ainsworth. They just kept it in the field of play, as did Rankin. And now there's going to be a free kick against Rankin. It's going to go to McPherson for a push, which was perhaps a little bit harsh. And the umpire just having to explain it to Isaac that there was a little nudge in the back. So McPherson will take the free kick just as Rankin was going to send it back inside attacking 50s. At left half back, almost where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary line. Kicks it up towards the wing. Witts, but in front of him, Dawson got hands to it first. Davies taken down, holding the ball again against Davies, so he's having a rough trot. And the free kick's going to Keys on the wing.
That's where I just keep saying to him, keep doing what you're doing. You're getting your hands on the footy. You're getting the first contested. But it's a test for him now to get away from it and use it.
Keys kicks to a pack in the attacking zone for the Crows. No mark. Powell does the roving. Rochelle applies the tackle. It's going to be a ball up. Sounds like Charlie's got some young company down there. A young fella near your microphone, Charlie. We can hear him having a chat to us. That's the atmosphere you get in Darwin.
Grandpa Charlie's running a creche.
From the stoppage, Keys snaps to the goal mouth. This time the goalkeeper's back for the Suns. It's Collins marking on the last line of defence. At true full back, runs to the pocket, kicks Gold Coast towards the right half-back flank, and flying and marking is Scholl, uncontested for Adelaide, 65 out. Chips back to the corridor, Walker the target, Ballard and Swallow there to spoil it away from Tex. Rode by Roses of Gold Coast, hand pass to Atkins, the ex-Crow, turns it over. His kick has been marked by Dawson, 60 out. He's almost in range here, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but he's having a look.
He's going to run to 55, use that left boot to go long and across the face for a behind. 22 the difference at 6-2-38 to 2-4-16. Dawson with 1-1.
It does open up the goals when you've got the stand on the mark rule. It gives the player that opportunity to take off on that arc. But again, distance, but no accuracy.
Back into play, and a free kick's been picked out. It's going to the Suns. Casbolt spears the ball poorly, straight down the throat of Dawson, who sends it back on what had been Hinge. Kicks into Miller. Miller marks and finds Laird. Laird made space in the middle of Marara. He's got another short lead on from McHenry, who is the sub, who's come on from Duday, who did his knee early in the first quarter. He finds Miller. So patient build-up this time from the Crows. We've seen a lot of their great burst off half-back, but this is a slower build-up. Dawson to McHenry, to Scholl, and Scholl inside the centre square. Very crowded forward line, so he thumps it long in the Fogarty direction. Going back is Witts as Collins wrestled with Fogarty towards the boundary line. Ainsworth can't keep it in. Quite happy to see it out, I reckon. Out at right half forward, 50 metres out from the Crows' goal. They lead 6-2 to 2-4.
What it does, Crossy, too, it just Gold Coast have got to come and man up. They just can't sit back and then sort of spread across and cover an area. If Adelaide, they went 5 kicks short, and it was an easy 15-metre kick.
Barry throw in. Witts lost his footing. Walker couldn't tap it. Davies kicked it into the face of Powell. Ricochets fortuitously for Adelaide. Keys picks up, has a shot on goal, kicks it to the goalkeeper. Again, there's a man on the last line. It's Ballard to take the mark for the Suns. He chips it to Atkins. Atkins marks and chips to McPherson, who's got time to run to right half back D50. Kicks the Suns around the outer wing. Ill-directed. It bounces just in the field of play in front of Berry and then out of play. Rory Atkins is an interesting one. The big 5-year deal to the Gold Coast. This is his 3rd year of that deal. He's playing his 23rd game for the club. 2.5 years in, game 23. Not what they were expecting when he crossed from the Crows.
No, I'd agree with that too. And I don't know if Adelaide were keen to let him go in the end, but they just certainly couldn't match something equivalent.
Will Powell's come off from the blood rule, having had that Falcon, as we call it in Australian sport. Thank you to the Channel 9 Rugby League show and Mario Fennick for putting that into the vernacular. The Falcon. It's bridged all codes.
Witts wins the boundary throw in against O'Brien through leg, socket off the ground by Keys. Murphy first to it, gathers cleanly from 60 metres, kicks in towards the left forward pocket. Up in front there was Rankin, gathered by Ballard. He sends the ball back out towards the 50-metre arc, contested well by Davies, throws the ball onto his boot, but straight down the throat of O'Brien, held it just long enough. The pressure came from Holman, gave it to Miller, who'll send the ball in towards centre half forward. Michael Lanny, what a beautifully weighted kick. The handball on there comes to Rochelle. He's taken down in a strong tackle, mopped up by Jeffrey at half back. McHenry chasing him hard. Jeffrey gets the kick away out towards the wing to a contest. Up in front, but pushed off the ball there was Casbolt. Handball looped over the top, finds Murray. The defender gave it onto his teammate there in Smith, who kicks the ball in towards the left forward pocket. A couple of swans in front, gathered by Rank, and he loves these, and he misses to the left, though. On the left boot, a behind only to Isaac. Crows 6-3-39, 2-4-16 the Suns.
The Gold Coast have come out of defence on 3 occasions and kicked it straight to the opposition, haven't they?
Kick into Jeffrey in the pocket, he marks and transfers to the wing. Rao can't mark but does enough to regather. Hand pass in for the Ainsworth. He kicks it to the wing. Shunted out of play by Butts, getting low to half volley it away from King. So we'll see a boundary throw in. Lots of activity on that bench. 4 or 5 rotations taking place there as the ball's about to be thrown in by the umpire right in front of the Morris Rioldi stand on the western side of this ground.
Ben King making his work back to the 50 metre. He was the player that ran down Rochelle inside Adelaide's forward 50.
Thrown in, ground level. Pedler applies a tackle, no way through. Who was that intended? It was Fiorini trying to get clear. He was tackled by Luke Pedler. So a ball up on the wing, thrown in the air. Witt's got that tapped down. Davies shrugged off it by Saligo, no free kick. Ball ricochets to Jones of the Crows. Rush kick to half forward. Philthorpe makes good of it. Marks it 2 kicks from goal. Kicks to attacking 50. Walker gets to the drop. Marks it 45 out. Definitely within range. Definitely within range. And now, having assessed a couple of options forward, the Adelaide veteran will take responsibility and see if he can add a second goal to his personal tally for the night.
Sam Collins was probably lucky then too when he went back on him. He tried to fist the ball. It was an easy chest mark. It would have been a walk-up 50 for sure.
Slight angle to the right. Man on the mark, 45 out. Distance not the problem for Taylor Walker. Right foot strike from 50 is a thing of beauty. When he gets it right, not many hit the Sharon with their right boot better than Tex. He's got 2, and he's the first multiple goal kicker of the night for Adelaide, who now are out to a game-high 27, make it a 29-point lead. 29 the lead at 7-3-45 to 2-4-16.
That was a good kick inside 50. The ball actually was kicked where Walker had to go to. He was leading up gently, but the kicker made it inside 50, and Walker, the kicker knew the space was behind him. Yeah. Kicked it just 45 degrees behind him. He's marked it, 47, 48 metres out, and as we just saw, he's a great kick, and there looks to be a little breeze going down that airport end. He's put it through beautifully from 50 metres out.
As that margin becomes greater too, Gold Coast get further under pressure. They've got to work on delivering and executing their football, running out of the back half. It just hurts themselves when they just can't carry the football and overlap.
Crows are in good hands, though, aren't they, with Walker? Probably a couple more years to go, Rod, but Philthorpe delivered it to him. Fogarty, such good depth on that forward line. Keys might have been tackled without it, played for it. Anderson's quick kick. Heavy tackling again by the Crows, and the ball was tied up 40 metres out directly in front of the Suns' goal.
Sloan and Walker are probably the 2. I wouldn't be surprised if the club gives them another year on the way they're both performing.
Humphrey tried to burst through the pack and take it with him. Handballed out the back to Pedler. His scrubby kick under pressure goes in and gets it again. Pushes away from Humphrey, then's taken down in a tackle by Fiorini. Goes backwards to Jones. Jones gives to Hinge. They go across the ground. And the kick is beautifully weighted. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had teammate out there, and a lovely stretch and a mark taken there by Philthorpe again. He sweeps the handball to a running teammate in Scholl, who kicks down the boundary. And so they're moving it very cleanly and crisply. And again, Walker marks. He got away from Collins. Back to Miller, a 55 from goal. Steps around his opponent. Kicks from 45 and has kicked another one. Oh, that's wonderful transition by Adelaide. From the right back pocket to the left back pocket and all the way down the outer side. And Miller, of the half back, bangs it home from 50 metres. Sensational football by Adelaide. They get their 8th. 8-3 plays 2-4.
Just the pressure by the Gold Coast in their forward 50 then, I thought was actually pretty good. It forced Adelaide back maybe on 3 or 4 occasions. Just having a left footer and a couple of in their back half. Hinge back into the team tonight through concussion, was able to get a kick deep outside to their 50-metre line of the Gold Coast, and just the accuracy of the kick. The Gold Coast sit off a little bit, gets over the top. You try and allow yourself a little bit of room. If you can't hit it, you'll get there and be able to defend, but on 3 occasions the Gold Coast weren't.
And it was just clean all the way from the back pocket out in the far wing, the Saints wing. 1, 2, 3. Walker was really good. I think he drew Milera into him to say, hey, come on, because the bloke on the mark can't move.
Yep.
Gave it to him. Beautiful finish.
Real danger signs for Gold Coast here. Casbolt beats O'Brien at the tap, but Pedler roves. He gets a hand pass to Sloan. Rushes a kick to half forward. Walker meets it, can't mark. Ricochets to Fiorini of the Suns. Rush towards half forward. Bounces away from Lukosius. Bounces away from Murray. Ball's on the deck. It's very slippery. Butts has a go. He's pressured. Can't pick it up, but Jones does for Adelaide. Rushes a kick out of defence to the wing, hoping for Walker to get there. Taylor's after it. He gets there. Collins slips over. Walker can't pick it up. It must be so slippery. Fiorini does. Hands it back to Collins. Off a step from the wing, he kicks to half forward to a 2-on-2. Holman can't mark, but Berry roves. Kicks Gold Coast to full forward. Lukosius! 2 grab mark in the forward pocket of the slippery pill. And he'll have a shot from 20 metres out in the left forward pocket.
Good body work by Lukosius there. A 1-on-1. He instigated a bit of contact early and got a tiny bit of separation, which allowed him the 2 grab mark rather than having the Adelaide player smash his arms and get the ball out of his vicinity. He's going to take the snapshot.
Setting up for the right-footed snap punt, indeed, Joel. 5 last week. Jack Lukosius, he got one tonight, and didn't Gold Coast need that? 29 the difference at 8-3-51 to 3-4-22. Crows by 29 here. Meanwhile, still a pretty tight, high-scoring game at Docklands. Mid-second term, Western Bulldogs 8-7-55 to the Cats 7-4-46.
Well, Jack Lukosius kicked 4 goals in the second quarter last week against the Western Bulldogs. Ended up with 5. He kicked another one in the third, but had a real purple patch. And just the way you called it there too, Joel. I thought Nick Murray, who's a good, solid defender, did everything he had to, but Lukosius, who really smart with his bodywork. So he had a couple of touches.
Yeah, they do need a couple of goals, though, the Suns. Yeah. Like, if they can't peg this 5-goal difference back before half-time and get it to at least 2 or 3, it's going to be hard work in the second half for them.
The second stringers are in the ruck. Casbolt and Phil Thorpe and nullify each other. Push off the footy there was Anderson towards half forward for the Crows. Slick Campbell back to Phil Thorpe, came from Rankin. Unfortunately, his kick straight down the throat, if you're a Crows fan at least, of Joel Jeffrey, who marks it right half back. And transitions play out to the wing with a lovely kick and a pretty good mark with a slippery ball as well. They move it quickly up towards half forward. In front, the fly came from King, and he's been paid the mark. So King, 70 out from goal at right half forward. Goes long to the goal square. Crows have numbers there in defence. Good leap from Lukosius. Brought it to ground. Where are the Crummers? Humphrey gets there first. Gets the tackle and was slung. Comes back, though, to Atkins. His kick across the face of goal out towards the back pocket. Jones went up high, and a free kick's been picked out maybe for over the shoulder, was it? Or
this is a free kick
or?
that the umpire's given for Jones spoiling McHenry.
They're on the same team, Umpy. They're both wearing
crying out loud
Crows jumpers.
That is a pathetic decision at AFL level.
McHenry from the right, left back pocket sends it out of defensive 50.
I don't want to be one of those people, but you reckon when 2 guys on the same team run into each other that the officials could get that right? They see guys fall down and they go to the whistle. That's a shocker. Here's a snap from Humphrey, 40 metres out towards the pocket, leaping, marking Lukosius. 2 grabs, he's got it.
He's a second quarter specialist.
And look, I'm saying this with my son a couple of metres away from me. He is a young umpire. I'm not an umpire basher at all, but that is like Manuel and Basil. That is faulty towers.
Where is the Waldorf salad?
Oh my. Anyway.
Well, I can think of a few ways to milk a free kick.
Did anyone else see it differently to me? That's what happened.
I actually didn't see the replay. I was waiting to see it, but I couldn't be definitive.
Joel's
sorry.
nodding his head. Here's Lukosius. 4 in the second term last week, and he's missed that one from 30 metres out. He's put it across the face for a point. I might have, be red-faced if it's proved to be the other way, but that's what it looked like. Anyway, it's a point. 28 the diff. Crossy, save me.
We're all one team.
Crows bring it back into the Morris Rioli grandstand side. Sloan takes a good mark. Had Anderson for an opponent, and then he bangs it up towards half forward. Almost the mark to Long. the stretch, got a grip on it and then fell to the ground. Rankin wanting a teammate, but in between there was Davies off fingertips. As Long and Rankin, the 222s, have a little bit of push and shove again. Better be careful, Ben Long, because the umpire is watching every move there.
He's got in trouble on this ground before, Ben Long, hasn't he?
He is as tough as nails, Ben Long. I would not want to go toe-to-toe with him in any manner, shape or form.
He got a street in an NTFL game here, didn't he, many years ago?
Yeah. Comes to Sloan on the left boot, just hacks it inside, attacking 50. Rankin does beautifully, gets away from Long, centering ball. Walker then got rid of Collins, but the ball was too far away to his left-hand side for him to grab it, and it trickles across the face of goal and goes out of bounds in the left forward pocket. 16 minutes gone, second quarter. Crows 8-3-51, Suns 3-5-23.
8 the diff at Docklands. Dogs still in front there. Ball tossed in with Adelaide deep in attack. Shallow throw in. Casbolt meets it on the half volley. Can't control it, but Jeffrey can. Picks up for the Suns. Hacks it from the right back pocket to half back. Underneath it, Dawson couldn't mark. Jones roves. Hand pass out the back. It's rushed back into attack by McHenry of Adelaide. Thilthorpe, the target, couldn't grab it. Ball to ground level. Long crashes through. Had it, lost it. Thilthorpe goes again, picks up for the Crows. Hands it to Rankin in the pocket. Little chip on goal, misses to the near side. And a point for Isaac Rankin. He's got two behinds. 29 the diff at 8-4-52 to 3-5-23.
Well, he's certainly looking dangerous, isn't he, too? Ben Long just needs to work out whether he goes at the football. If you do, take it cleanly, but where's my man? And Isaac's had a couple of shots.
In front of the pack was O'Brien through his fingertips. Roses chases the footy. Big tackling by the Crows. The tackle numbers have been relatively even. Well, I thought there wasn't much prior opportunity there, but the Crows will win the free kick. And Hinge comes up with it. Tackling Humphrey there, out on the logo on the outer wing. A lot of venom in the Crows tackling. Hinge kicks it up towards left half forward. Out comes Walker. At shin level, couldn't trap the footy. It's sent back towards the wing. Humphrey in front, over the top reaches Jordan Dawson. Hinge there, came in from the side to push the Suns player off the footy. Smith sweats on the ball to come out, comes to Roses instead. Clever little handball over the top. Anderson wants to come to him. In goes McHenry pretty hard. He comes up with the football. Two Suns surround him. Anderson is one of those, and Anderson gets the quick kick away up towards half forward. It's met by Millerer. Millerer sidesteps Casbolt. Sidesteps another Sun. Gives the handball back inboard. Is excellent play. Back to Hinge. Now the pressure comes. Maybe an opportunity here for the Gold Coast to set something up. It's 55 from their goal at right half forward, and eventually there'll be a ball up. So that's a bit better by the Suns. They trail by 29 points with the intensity lifted, and they had a chance there to keep it at least in their forward area.
Joel highlighted that Adelaide do throw it around by hand, and they've been caught out on that occasion.
Clean possession. O'Brien hands it out the back to McHenry, the sub. Gave it to Sloan, and he's dumped off his kick. Kicks it out of bounds on the full as the veteran. So a free kick for Gold Coast to be taken by Davies. 60 out at right half forward. 29 points is the lead for Adelaide at 8-4-52 to 3-5-23. Davies kicks Gold Coast to full forward. Lukosius flew first hand. Can't mark. Sloan roves. Doesn't have to see it over the boundary line for a throw in. 20 metres around from the behind post at the Michael Long end of Marara.
Good win for the Gold Coast. Just the tackling and the pressure, 33 to 24 in favour of Adelaide tackles.
Right forward pocket. The Suns conjure something here. Much needed goal in the second term. Quick snap. No. Couldn't quite get ball to boot. Good pressure from Jones. Now the kick comes across the goal face. Saligo there. Tap backwards into the path of Holman. He has a quick shot. He's across the face. Still in the field of play. Off hands and out of bounds in the right forward pocket. So they're pressing hard, the Suns. They just need a little bit of magic. 3-5-23 to the Crows, 8-4-52.
Crows 2 goals 3 to the Suns 1-1 in this term. 21 points was the lead at quarter time for Adelaide, now 29. Travelled 19 and a half second term. Quentin Hull, Rob Cross, Rod Jamison, Joel Bowden and Charlie King with you on Grandstand AFL in Darwin. Boundary throw in, O'Brien to the front, Tups boundary side, but Humphrey Rose for the Suns has a banana shot from the pocket, kicks it across the face of goal. Stays in play, pitches for Casbolt, hand passes out the back to Holman. He's under pressure, kick around his body, looking for Atkins, had it, lost it. Saligo made the tackle without the ball. Holding the man, free kick. Atkins quickly kicks it backwards, and Anderson marks further away from goal, but on an improved angle about 40 metres out.
It's a tough one, that. So the player takes possession, gets immediately tackled, and the ball's knocked out. But in the momentum of tackling him, he continues to pull him and sling him, to the point where it's holding the man. It's such a tough one. And you know what? Maybe it's just play on.
Noah Anderson now has the assignment to try and kick a goal. Suns need one. Almost 5 to diff. 45 degrees to the left. Man on the marks, 35 out. Anderson on his right boot. He strikes that beautifully. What a lovely finish. It's Adelaide 8-4-52 to Gold Coast 4-5-29. 21 minutes played, second term at Marara, and still a tight one at Docklands. The Doggies 8-7-55 over the Cats. 7-5-47. A reminder, ABC Listen app, look for the AFL button to get a call of that one.
Well, the Gold Coast need to improve in the clearance work. 21-14 in favour of Adelaide. Stoppage clearances is where Adelaide are getting on top. Centre clearance just in favour of Adelaide. Noah Anderson is one of those players. Didn't kick a goal last week, but puts himself 8-goal-8. He's kicked for the year. Crossy. Well, gets him back to level pegging.
Didn't look like missing that one. That's a tough shot, that one. Yeah. Joel will probably tell you that pocket players tend to kick it across the right-hand side, but he did that beautifully, aimed at the left goal post.
Beautiful kick. We're right behind it, and that was a sensational finish by Anderson.
Much needed, back to 23 points. They're hanging around the Suns at the 22-minute mark of the second quarter. Witts taps it back to Anderson. They'll get a clearance here with a high kick. Coming in from the side is Berry with a big fly. Couldn't bring it to ground. Laird is then wrapped up by Berry at centre-half forward, and there'll be a ball up just on the edge of the centre square. Suns go forward again.
Half-time. Dogs by 2. 8-7 to 8-5.
Witts wrestling with O'Brien, wins the tap. Has a second go, does O'Brien. Davies, good strength, threw Dawson out of the contest. And then socket off the ground, almost in danger. Play on the call. Now it goes deeper inside the Suns' attacking area. Humphrey trapped it beautifully, ducked under a tackle. Bailey, Humphrey's curling this for the goal of the night. We've seen a ripper from Pedler at that end, but that one from Humphrey was even better. Went under the tackle, bounced to his feet and curled it around from 35 metres. Wonderful goal, and the Suns are back to within 17 points, 5-5 to 8-4.
Just the energy and the approach of the contest, wasn't it too? His Adelaide opponent went to ground. I think it was Mitch Hinge, stayed over it. Players came at him. Saligo sat back. Nick Murray also sat back.
And he slipped through. He was so low to the ground, he slipped underneath the tackle, and the finish with the curl. I mean, if we're celebrating Shane Warne's leg break of the century, well, that was a pretty good leg break from Humphrey.
Right now, he has got to be the favourite for the Rising Star. There's still a lot of the season to go. Nominated a couple of weeks ago, Bailey Humphrey, and what a boon for the club to sign through until 2028 this week. He continues to impact games at 18 years of age. Centre bounce. Stoppage win by the Crows. Dawson hands it to Keys. Rush kick to half forward. Rankin punches it forward. It falls to Rochelli. Oh, he steps around a player who's hurt himself. One of the Suns has gone down, Powell. Then Rochelli's kick is poor. Powell now picks himself up, is limping. Farrah's taken the mark at full-back. Didn't know where to look there for a moment. Powell went down as if he was pinged from the airport by a sniper. He's up and moving. Collins.
Shelley went onto the left. He had Darcy Fogarty on the right if he just had a hit it.
Collins chips short and Jeffrey marks at right half back, and Powell's now moving, which is good news, and running. Long kick towards the wing. King the target. Doesn't try to mark. He palms down to the advantage of Swallow. Kicks it off the deck. Gets it towards the wing. Berry picks up a hard nut for the Suns. Rushes it forward with a high right foot kick. Lukosius up against Hinge. Hinge did a good job to spoil away over the boundary line. And a throw in 60 from the Suns goal at right half forward. About 4 minutes of playing time left in this second term. 17 points the lead to Adelaide at 8-4-52 to 5-5-35. And repeating at Docklands, it's the Dogs by 2 points over the Cats. Western Bulldogs 8-7-55. Geelong 8-5-53.
A sniper from the airport.
Yeah, right. Jeez. Nice period of play by the Suns. They've kicked 3 goals to 2 this quarter.
And play up in the crowd crossing.
The grassy knoll back there somewhere?
Yeah. Well, he went down as if shot.
More strong.
And it's at the airport end. You know, that's the word pictures.
Too many Die Hard movies late at night, maybe. Flipped over the back. Lots of numbers around the footy.
Yippee-ki-yay. Good.
Well done again by the Suns through Fiorini. Kicks it inside 50. Melrose is dangerous from 40. The former Buffalo. And his kick is away to the left-hand side. In fact, out of bounds on the full in the left forward pocket. Gee, that would have been a great goal. As it is, the margin remains at 17 points. He's normally better than that. He had some time. He had some room. He wasn't that far out.
One behind in the first quarter in that one, so he's had some chances.
Long inbound from the Crows to a packet, half back, on the head of Murphy and Rochelle. Neither really big, neither could mark, but there's a free kick in that. Going Adelaide's way, and it was McHenry, I think, putting his body in to win a free kick for Adelaide.
Seems to be a lot of free kicks tonight. You know, I think they're up to 20 free kicks in total or more for both clubs.
McHenry plays on, gets himself in trouble. Kick to the wing, Swallow almost marks, couldn't. Laird Robes, his hand pass close to the boundary line. Well, Saligo's tackled, then tried to tunnel ball it out of play. And the ump says, OK, throw it in. Throw it in.
The umpires just looking at each other, the one in control, the boundary umpire.
As the Crows by 35 points early in this term, the Gold Coast has kicked the last 3 goals, 17 the difference. 26 and a half played. True centre wing in front of the Rioli stand. Boundary throw in. O'Brien had it come back to him, dropped it, ump let it go, spills towards the boundary. Atkins sees it out. Throw it in once more.
Rory Sloane just...
Looked like he was tickling Atkins. He was, wasn't he? Just reached down under his left arm, give him a little tickle. Got snipers, ticklers, all sorts of things here at Marara tonight. The sauna.
One of those cripple things that you should do.
Murphy breaks away for the Crows and sends it in the Taylor Walker direction over the back of the pack. Powell has recovered. Fogarty tried to slap it forward, but all he did was slap the side of the head of Powell and infringes. And so Will Powell, who's had a busy night for the Suns, will take it in the left back pocket at the airport end.
Free kicks are 12 to Adelaide, 9 to Gold Coast. Just while you were musing on that, gentlemen.
27 minutes gone, second quarter. It's 52, plays 35. Adelaide leading. Murray over the top with a big spoil. Saligo does pretty well, close to the boundary line. Holman happy to see it out. Keys pleading for a free kick, won't get it. So between wing and half forward, in front of the Morris Rioli grandstand, it's the Crows leading by 17 points, almost 28 minutes gone, second quarter.
It's a little stagnant at the minute, but it was still Gold Coast 55% disposal efficiency, so still not using the football as well enough, still with that margin to catch up.
Boundary throw in right half forward for Adelaide. Again, neither ruckman with a telling tap. So slippery at ground level. Free kick's gone against Jones. For what I'm not sure, Anderson's going to get it.
Been taking his feet.
Took his legs. Righto, Anderson plays on quickly. Rushes it to half forward. Casbolt's in front. Knuckled away by Murray out of play. And Saligo and Holman are getting into each other on the wing. There's a bit of feeling out there. On this steamy Saturday night, or by most of Australia's standards. It's a beautiful winter's night if you're a Territorian.
A little bit cold in the box.
Oh, Joel's feeling it.
You've come in with the shorts on again.
Boundary throw in. Poor hand pass there by the Suns. It's turned over. O'Brien hands it to Keys. Adelaide on the wing. Chip pass looking for Pedler. Misses the target. Powell arrives to affect the contest. Wins the footy. Got tackled high by Pedler. Free kick to Will Powell for Gold Coast at centre half back D50. Plays on quickly, kicks it to Witts on the wing. He can't mark it, slips through his hands. Holman gathers off the deck for the Suns. Hands it to Davies from the wing. High kick to half forward. Casbolt with 2 to beat. Man coming in from the side was Jones. Couldn't mark, but does enough to affect the contest, and Saligo picks up for the Crows.
Kicks to Walker. Was it out of bounds on the full? Not quite. Off hands and a boundary throw in.
Dropped the slippery ball. The players' shoulders are shining. The ball's shining. The humidity's gone up to 70%
We've
here.
Got a contest at the sauna. Marara, 17 points the margin. Good period from the Suns. They wouldn't want to concede a goal closing in on half-time. If they can snag one themselves, it'll make things interesting. Anderson went in just with one hand, didn't put the body over the football. Now he's forced to squeeze between 2 Crows. Atkins hasn't had a bad night. He might have another possession here in front of Sloane. He sees it out of bounds.
So we've got the furnace for when the Perth Scorchers play at the Wacker. They've tried to transfer that to Perth Stadium, but who was it that was trying to get a name for this ground?
Charlie.
Oh, Charlie was trying to work out a name. Okay, we better See what he thinks at half time.
Bit of a call throughout the week.
Yeah, okay. Boundary throw in again. Ruckman are just sort of bringing it to ground level, and then it's a slip and slide to see who can pick it up. Dawson on that occasion does for the Crows. Hands it to Saligo. Deep entry with a kick to Fogarty's direction, but outmarked by Ballard. What a player he has become.
That was a sensational mark, and mark that down at the 30-minute mark of this second quarter as a crucial point in the game.
Two grabber, his kick from the pocket to a packet half back, roved by Atkins, gets it to his toe, it rolls to the wing, picked up by Smith of Adelaide. Defensive hand pass, picked up by Butts, up and under, hoping kick to a packet half forward, comes to ground level, picked up by Anderson, toes it towards Casbolt, the big fella's got it and is knocked over the boundary line by Smith. Throw it in. About 17 seconds left in the half. Crossy, get us to the break.
Smith brave there, running into Levi Casbolt. It'll be like running into a rock, I reckon. Casbolt didn't move. Smith went to ground, but he did his job. Just knocked him off just enough. Witts works his way to the front. O'Brien won the tap, down to Sloane, comes to Smith. Off his shin, goes about 5 metres. Ben King comes up with a footy. Walker, Jordan Dawson in front. The smother on Murray. Will be a play on. Holman grabs the footy. Smith tackles him. And now the siren blows to end what was a pretty intense last 10 minutes or so. Bit of push and shove right on the halftime siren. Casbolt pushes King away and says, get out of it. But a great last period of play by the Suns. They're right back in the game. They trail by 17 points at halftime here at Marara. 5-5-35. Crows 8-4-52.
And Taylor Walker has 2 goals as the only multiple goal kicker in the game. Singles for Adelaide also to Ben Keys, Luke Pedler, Jordan Dawson, Wayne Miller, Darcy Fogarty and Riley O'Brien. While for the Gold Coast, they're 5 all singles to Jack Lukosius, Noah Anderson, Bailey Humphrey, Levi Casbolt and Joel Jeffrey. 21 the difference in favour of Adelaide at quarter time. Now just 17 the difference. So the Suns slightly winning that term, courtesy of 3 goals 1 to 2 goals 3. Adelaide 8-4-52, Gold Coast 5-5-35. 17 points the advantage for the Crows. 2 points the advantage for the Western Bulldogs at half-time at Docklands. Bulldogs 8-7-55 to the Cats 8-5-53. And after Port beat Hawthorn by 55 earlier today and Collingwood by 63 over West Coast. Whiz through a few other things in a moment, but a chance for our experts Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden to give you their thoughts before we get to the ABC newsroom. Jamo, well, Joel?
Our privileged position sitting above it, Adelaide were just in a huddle. Taylor Walker was having a chat. I think they'd be disappointed as to how they finished that quarter off. I thought Gold Coast, their pressure that they applied, and to your point, Crossy, they've just got a bit heated in that last 10 minutes. So I think they've lifted that intensity. They want the contest. They want to take the body. Contested possession 84-75, so they're getting in front. Outside, they're still not getting it. But it's the amount of football they're getting into their forward 50. They just can't get the scores on the scoreboard, Joel.
Yeah, they had all the momentum there for the last, say, 10 or 15 minutes. And I think Rose's miss is crucial. And at the other end, when Adelaide did get it down there, Fiorini missed the opportunity to hit Doherty. He went the wrong option. So Adelaide missed a goal. And when it went back down the other end, Roses had to score. I mean, he missed everything in the end. And look, they've brought it back to 17 points. It was starting to get a little bit out of control at 5 goals, the margin. They're now going to have to regroup, go into the Michael Long Centre, regroup, and then come back out, because I think it's game on at 17 points, and it is getting hot. The sauna is heating up.
And Lukosius looks dangerous. He did that last week. He looks again. He's up. He's flying at the football too. So Nick Murray's got to be aware and go with him. He can't allow and hope that a teammate will get there. Noah Anderson continues to be antagonistic. Thomas Berry is tackling hard. Matty Rao probably dropped away a little bit in that second quarter. He's lost his standards and the way that he goes about winning the football. David Swallow continues. Alex Davies, I like what he does and how he wins the football too, and we're seeing others sort of stepping up, but they just haven't got the polish that they need, Hugh, to be able to hit the scoreboard or continually maintain possession and stretch the defence and continue to put, so they can get the space in the forward line or put it out in front to where they need to, because it's congested.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way that the game's been played, and how long does Adelaide continue to try and play that beautiful style that we saw in the first quarter and a half? But as it gets more slippery, Joel and Jamo, that's the question. Do you back what's been working, or do you have to realise, hold on, we've done the hard work to lead here, is it worth starting to play ugly to get over the line in this one?
I would continue the way, because hopefully what Adelaide would do is that if they're clean majority of the time, and it is coming undone at certain parts, but they're actually getting the ground. They're covering the ground, whereas if you're going to slow it down, you're going to allow your defence to be able to set up behind the football, and it'll just be a slogfest, and you don't want to get into that.
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? Last 3 goals of the half to Gold Coast. Rod Jamison, Joel Bowden with you on Grandstand AFL. Adelaide by 17 at the long break. Dogs by 2 over the Cats at Docklands. Now, A-League Grand Final is on tonight. It's been a pretty interesting first half there. Already seeing 3 goals. Central Coast Mariners 2, Melbourne City 1 at half time. Cummings and Silvera scoring for the Mariners on 20 and 34 minutes. And then Fontavena getting 1 back for Melbourne City 5 minutes before the break. So Central Coast Mariners 2 leading Melbourne City 1 at half-time of the A-League Men's Grand Final. In the NRL, second half underway down in the Shire. Brisbane 14 lead Cronulla Sutherland 6. Broncos 14, Sharks 6. That's after earlier this evening Souths beat Gold Coast 46-28, and the Warriors beat the Dolphins 30 points to 8. And in the rugby, as mentioned, all eyes perhaps on that game later tonight between the Force and the Chiefs, with a win for the Force being good enough to get them into the finals and kick the Queensland Reds out. That after earlier today, the Fijian and Drua, in just their second season in Super Rugby Pacific, ensured that they'd play finals. They got past the Reds 41-17 in Suva, which means the Highlanders are out, and now the Reds are waiting on that result later tonight. Elsewhere today, Hurricanes 27 over the Crusaders 26, and currently Moana Pacifica 21 leading the New South Wales Waratahs 14. That game about 15 minutes into the second half. Auskick kids are out there. They're enjoying the sauna at half-time as the players contemplate the second half to come. Hope you're enjoying the night of the footy with us on Grandstand AFL. It's Adelaide by 17 points at the long break. We'll be back after the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The Department of Foreign Affairs says it's not aware of any Australian casualties in the Indian train crash. It says, however, that Australian officials in India are making urgent inquiries with local authorities to determine whether any Australians have been injured. Indian officials now say at least 280 people have been killed in the massive crash, which occurred in the northeastern state of Odisha. Up to 1,000 have been injured, and emergency crews are working to free hundreds still trapped in the wreckage. The Prime Minister has touched down in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, where he'll spend 2 days meeting with leaders, including the country's new president, Vo Tung. Australian officials see Vietnam, which has enjoyed rapid economic growth over the past decade, as an increasingly significant player in Southeast Asia. Both countries are still negotiating a comprehensive strategic partnership flagged last year. Anthony Albanese says Vietnam is an important trading partner for our country.
Our two-way trade grew by some 40% last financial year. And one of the things that Australia has to do is we have to diversify our economic and trading relationships.
Ukraine's Defence Minister says Australia has agreed to provide further support to Ukraine, with details to be announced in July. Alexei Reznikov met with Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. In a statement, Mr Reznikov said he used the meeting to request Australia provide training to Ukrainian pilots, medical evacuation vehicles and electronic warfare against drones. Mr Marles has also been invited to visit Ukraine. The video platform YouTube has revealed it's ending its policy of deleting videos that make false electoral fraud claims that was introduced after Donald Trump falsely claimed the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. More on this from the BBC's Mike Wendling.
YouTube did say that the policy curbed misinformation, but at the same time, it limited political speech, and it didn't meaningfully reduce the risk of violence or other real-world harm. So given the balance there between free speech and potential harm, the company has now decided to stop enforcing this policy. There was some language in the statement that said about the current political environment in America, but we don't really know why specifically YouTube decided to do this right now.
Back home in Victoria, police have recommenced an investigation into the school allegedly involved in former principal and accused abuser Mal Khalifa fleeing Australia in 2008. Beth Gibson reports.
Victoria Police have confirmed there's an ongoing investigation into offences linked to the Adas Israel School in Melbourne's southeast. In a letter from the Office of Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton to former state politicians Ted Ballew and Philip Dalidakis, the Commissioner said the investigation was suspended during recent criminal proceedings against Leifer, but has now been reopened. In April, Leifer was found guilty of 18 sexual abuse offences against 2 former students between 2003 and 2007.
A woman has died and 2 of her children are in hospital after a house fire at Orange in the New South Wales Central Tablelands. Emergency services were called just before 6 o'clock this morning. A 10-year-old and 9-year-old boy have been treated for smoke inhalation. Police say a man escaped the blaze but suffered burns when he tried to re-enter the home. A 42-year-old man is in police custody following a car fire in Perth, which left his wife with burns to almost 40% of her body. Officers responded to a fire at Mount Helena just before 6:30 last night. The 33-year-old woman was airlifted to Fiona Stanley Hospital with burns to more than a third of her body. Her husband sustained minor burns and is assisting police with their inquiries. Police Inspector Glenn Barros praised the quick response from those who came to her aid.
It's tragic. A young woman has got significant burns to her body, which is going to take a long time to treat, and then the rest of her life she'll be impacted by that. Community members who are on the scene immediately, they're going to be affected by what they saw.
To sport, and Australian opening batsman David Warner has announced he intends to retire from Test cricket after this summer's home series against Pakistan. Warner, who is set to open the batting for Australia in the World Test Championship final against India on Wednesday, said he wants to retire at his home ground, the Sydney Cricket Ground. The 36-year-old has played 103 Test matches so far. And in the National Rugby League, the winners today have been the New Zealand Warriors and the South Sydney Rabbitohs. This is ABC News.
The brilliant minds from the Nation Building Authority are back.
I have complete faith in the NBA.
It's got to be something that's shovel-ready. And there's a lot to unpack.
What? What does that even mean?
What does anything mean?
With Rob Sitch, Kitty Flanagan, Celia Paquola and the whole office.
It's a smart idea.
It's not a bad idea.
That could be illegal.
All new shovel-ready Utopia.
There you go.
Premieres 8 p.m. Wednesday, June 7 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Jones of the Crows, rush kick to half forward. Phil Thorpe makes good of it. Marks at 2 kicks from goal. Kicks to attacking 50. Walker gets to the drop. Marks at 45 out, definitely within range. Slight angle to the right. Man on the mark, 45 out. Right foot strike from 50 is a thing of beauty. When he gets it right, not many hit the Sharon with their right boot better than Tex.
A lovely stretch and a mark taken by Phil Thorpe again. He sweeps the handball to a running teammate in Scholl, who kicks down the boundary very cleanly and crisply. And again, Walker marks. He got away from Collins, back to Miller, a 55 from goal, steps around his opponent, kicks from 45 and has kicked another one. Oh, that's wonderful transition by Adelaide.
Casbolt hand passes out back to Holman. He's under pressure. Kick around his body, looking for Atkins. Had it, lost it. Saligo made the tackle without the ball. Holding the man, free kick. Atkins quickly kicks it backwards, and Anderson marks. Suns need one. 45 degrees to the left. Man on the marks, 35 out. Anderson on his right boot. He strikes that beautifully. What a lovely finish.
Now it goes deeper inside the Suns' attacking area. Humphrey trapped it beautifully, ducked under a tackle. Bailey Humphreys curling this for the goal of the night.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Highlights of the first half at Marara in Darwin. Great to have your company. And the top end for the continuation of round 12 of this 2023 AFL season on ABC Sport. My name's Quentin Hull. I'm calling alongside Rob Cross, former Tiger Joel Bowden, former Crow Rod Jamieson, Charlie King's on the boundary, and we've got an interesting contest here thanks mainly to the Suns kicking the last 3 goals of the game. Adelaide did lead by 35 points in that second quarter, but the Suns have kicked the last 3, and 17 is the difference at the main break. Adelaide 8-4-52 to Gold Coast's 5-5-35. Outside of the scoreline, the main news of the first half is that Tom Doedee has been subbed out with a right knee injury, one where he spent a fair bit of time letting the docs and the physios manipulate it. He strapped it up and tried to get it moving, but it was decided after about 10 minutes or so that they would bring Ned McHenry into the game. So serious enough for him not to return, but certainly it wasn't in the graphic category at first look. It'll be interesting to see just how that comes up. But Doedee out of the game and McHenry subbed in. Taylor Walker's kicked 2 goals. He's the only multiple goal kicker in the game. Now, while the Auskick kids go at it, chance for us to have a look at a few more of the stats here. Inside 50 is always a good place to start. Adelaide inside 6 more times at 32-26. So 32 insides for 12 scores for Adelaide, 26 inside for 10 scores for Gold Coast. Overall disposals, Adelaide has had 34 more at 176-142. Laird 17 disposals, Keys 15, 13 for Dawson, 13 for Smith, 12 for Millerer. Top 5 for the Suns, Noah Anderson's had 15, 11 for Humphrey, 11 for Davies, 9 for Fiorini, and 7 each for Collins and Jeffrey. The contested possessions, Suns leading that +6 at 84-75. Handball receives is an interesting one. Crows 57-24. So certainly there's a fair bit of support run going on for the Crows throughout that first half of footy.
And we've probably seen Adelaide scoring from that too, maybe on 3 occasions, where that's what you're talking about, the efficiency of the Gold Coast. They haven't been able to just link it up and be clean either by foot or by hand, but Adelaide have been the other way, and that's been significant.
And clearances 25-18 in favour of Adelaide, so +7 there. Contested possessions, I gave that. So, that was Suns by 9. No, I didn't get that one. 84-75, Suns winning the contested possessions. So, Laird with 17 leading the way for Adelaide. Anderson with 15 leading the way for Gold Coast. And 17 points is the difference. Just having a look at Docklands, that game's about 5 minutes ahead of this one. So they're back underway in the third term. Cats have hit the front there momentarily.
Quinton, can you just double check? I'm looking at something in front of me. Matty Rouse had 6 tackles, but has he only had 4 disposals?
Yes, 4 disposals.
To half time.
2 kicks, 2 handballs. 5 contested possessions, but 4 disposals.
Yeah.
So he mustn't have got a disposal on one of those other... he must have been tackled.
Well, Ben Keys has done a tremendous job. So not only we know Matty Rowell is just a beast and a brute around the football, he wins the clearances. So I would expect him and the coaching committee of the Gold Coast would have had a bit of a chat and expect him to come out and have a red-hot go.
Yeah, sorry, I was just distracted. O'Donnell just kicked a goal for the Dogs, so they're back in front. That's a really seesawing game. 9-9, 63 to 9-5, 59. Doggies in front of the Cats. Call available on the ABC Listen app. All right, Joel and Jamo, what happens from here?
Well, we've got to expect Matty Rowell to lift. Yep. That's for one. It's not his average game to only have 4 possessions in a half. I think we'll see Gold Coast continue to go for distance. You know, their kicking to handball ratio is very high. They're doing a hell of a lot more kicking. And I think what we'll see is Adelaide won't be able to use the ball by hand as much this second half. They start to fatigue. They'll start to just use the ball longer and try and get yardage. And it'll be who can convert when they get it inside 50. We've seen it already tonight. At times there's 36 players inside the defensive 50 or the forward 50, and they're making it a slogfest. This is generally what happens in the Northern Territory and Darwin. The second half gets really tough. The ball slips a bit. We saw late in the quarter Taylor Walker just drop a chest mark because it just slipped through. You know, it's just a little bit more difficult. And then there's going to be moments in the game in this second half that are going to define who wins and who's willing to grab that moment, whether it's Matty Roses who can run, to 45 metres and slot a goal, or whether it's going to be Doherty or Walker for Adelaide who actually stand up in that point in time to put their stamp on this game.
Listen to the ABC call today of Port Adelaide and Hawthorn whilst I was just on a bit of a walk, but they kept referring to Hawthorn's inability to be able to execute. They want to play a game style that they just cannot do at the moment when they come up against quality opposition and they can't use the football. And it's a little bit, we saw Gold Coast last week execute really well, but they're unable to do that tonight. So they were better in the last 10 minutes of that second quarter. Their clearance work has to improve. We've spoken about a number of players that need to get a hold of the football, and they've got to be able to carry and hit the targets up forward, which they haven't been able to do. So it's too congested. But then you've got Adelaide, on the other hand, are going hard the other way and have used and clearly displayed how to do it. And they've got that run from behind, handballs received cue you've highlighted. So it's all well and good to be able to say, yes, I know what we need to do. They just need to somehow execute that. So,
and seeing those stats for Rail now, I've drawn to the fact, Jamo, that Rochelli's on him at the start of this centre bounce. So I'm intrigued as to how Adelaide are neutralising Rail, because he was, the match winner last week against the Bulldogs.
Well, normally Keys picks him up. So I think what you find in play, so Shelley might go to him here, and then in the play, Ben Keys actually comes up, picks him up, and then runs with him, and then being able to negate, and then works back the other way. He's got a huge motor, Ben Keys, and that's the role that he's done really well this year, as that high half forward works right up to the defensive line and then works back the other way.
Two teams fighting for what we expect are portions in the bottom part of the 8, and how important this second half may be. Suns 5 and 6, Crows 6 and 5. Big stakes second half coming up at Marara in Darwin. Crows start at 17 points in front. Rob Cross.
Rankin and Long continue to play fight before the ball was bounced up. It goes, nullify each other. It's tipped back in the Crows' direction. Kick comes out towards the wing from Farah. Leading in the race there was Ainsworth. Gets the kick around the corner. It's high, hoping for King. Butts was taken off the football. Comes back to Scholl, and he's happy to see it out of bounds. The tackling's interesting, Rod. During that second quarter, I'm pretty sure the discrepancy was around 10, with Crows having more tackles. Suns had closed it to 37-32 by quarter's end, showing their intensity lifting in that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and they had to too. And you saw Holman have a go. Ben Long was certainly doing it. Ainsworth was doing it. And Anderson, they're just starting to antagonise, and the pressure, and you could see the energy lift.
Well done by Rankin. Takes away from the boundary throw-in, up in the direction of Pedler, who's pretty good through traffic, although McPherson wraps him up at a very strong tackle, and he will be penalised for holding the footy. He grabbed it in one clean grab, but unfortunately lurking behind was McPherson, and McPherson wins a free kick.
He's had a good year. Pedler did the right thing too. He couldn't handball straight away, so he held onto it. Now it goes back to neutral.
And McPherson kicking to half forward, and Dawson's in front of King. The Crow skipper takes a mark. Kick infield's a bit of a mongrel, taken on the half volley by Miller. Then he's legged and will get a free kick. It was just tangled up in the body of Mal Roses Jr. So Wayne Miller, left half back, kicks across the half back line to Michael Annie, and he'll transfer to the right half back flank where Murray marks in space. Rolls on, uses his right boot to kick it to the concourse wing, and flying was Hinge, the target, couldn't take the mark. A couple of Suns around him as well. So out of play, boundary throw in on that outer side, which is well populated again. More than 9,000 fans here last week. Interested to see what the final attendance is here tonight. Very strong Crows support in the territory.
Well, that was the example there, Q and Crossy, that Adelaide are going across the ground trying to generate the run from behind to stretch. They weren't able to find it. Two defenders were able to shut it down for the Gold Coast.
Atkins with the takeaway out of that contest. On the bounce, Casbolt bounces off his tummy. Handball underground there from Hinge. Desperate at ground level. It might have been Powell or perhaps Davies. Crows come up with it. Some neat sidestepping by Saligo. Not penalised. Yes, It was in the end. Now will advantage be paid. Handball came from Rosas. Got off to Anderson. Anderson's low pass on the bounce in front of Lukosius. He's close to the boundary line. Gets the kick away. The centering ball. King was there. Pushed away by Butts. Comes to Anderson from 30 metres. The quick snap is high and handsome. Great early goal by the Suns. A couple to Anderson. And at the 3-minute mark of the third quarter, the Suns are back within 11 points.
That's a good finish by Anderson. It was just good pressure there through the middle. The Crows did transfer the ball to the other side, but then from the boundary throw-in, the Gold Coast were able to generate it out. They did get a free kick, but the play on allowed them that little bit of run. One-on-one, geez, he's done well, Lukosius, and we're seeing, a player I think who's going to be a star for the Gold Coast, but then Anderson finishes off the good work. It's back neck and neck now. Only 9 points.
Yeah,
11 points.
And Will Power too and Casbolt were the two that got the hinge to be able to nullify it and then bring it back in. So you just set up and it's a 50-50 once again. But what Lukosius did then was out to get it into the middle, and Nick Murray had to punch, and he punched it to an area where he didn't want to, which was straight into the middle, 30 metres out.
4 goals in a row for Gold Coast, and what was a 35-point lead for Adelaide, now just 11 the diff. Centre bounce, Rao gets a touch underneath Witts, tackled off it without the ball.
Holding the ball.
He was in possession. Okay, Dawson gets the free kick.
I think it's incorrect disposal is probably the term. That's what's happened.
And now the free kick's coming back to go to Rao. I'm not sure what happened there.
Nope.
So Rao's now going to get the free kick in the middle of the ground. I'd love to explain it for you, but I don't know. He chips it short to Berry. Marks in the bullseye. Long kick from Berry to full forward for the Suns. King takes the mark at the front of the pack. Couple of big flyers, but the clutch of Ben King was the best of the hands in that pack, and he'll have a shot from 25 out straight in front.
I'd like to see what happened there too, because Ben King and Jordan Butts, his immediate opponent, went to ground about 5 metres off the contest, which allowed King to run up.
Well, this for 5 in a row for Gold Coast and a single-figure margin. King straight in front, hits it with his right boot, likes it as soon as he kicks it, and the Suns are back in this in a big way in the top end. First of the night for Ben King. 3 goals to end the second term and 2 goals to start the third term for Gold Coast. It's Adelaide by 5 points at 8-4-52 to 7-5-47.
A little bit of confusion there, Quentin, in the middle of the ground, and end up with the Gold Coast Rao getting the free kick. They moved the ball quickly, and it's that confusion that spread the field. That meant that there weren't 30 players in defence because they'd been able to rush back, and King coming in from the side took a terrific mark. I think Levi Casbolt should take a little bit of credit for splitting the pack, and then Ben King came through for the side and took a clunk and finished it off with a nice goal.
Trying to work out what happened there to Butts. I think he just slipped. Don't think there was anything untoward from King that I could see. Witts wins the tap to Rao. Slick handball to Swallow. Swallow kicks it inside, attacking 50. King in front again. No, couldn't bring it to ground this time. Had pretty good purchase. And a big strong tackle there on Rosas was laid by Michael Annie. The umpire will ball it up 40 metres out directly in front.
4 touches first term, 3 in the first 5 minutes.
I know. He was going to come and where we wanted the Gold Coast.
And he might have been taken high there and win a free kick in the contest. Dawson was too aggressive. The ball fell down to him from the stoppage. Dawson was all over him, but it was crude. And so Rao can put the Suns in front.
Wow.
It feels a bit like last week all of a sudden that the Gold Coast got that momentum late in the second quarter. They've now carried it on, and it's only 4 or 5 minutes into this third quarter. They're doing what they did last week.
They trail by 5 points. Matt Rao runs to 48. He kicks it beautifully. The Suns have hit the lead. Is that 7 in a row? 6 in a row to the Gold Coast Suns. They trail by 35 points during the second quarter. They now lead by 1.
Rao had 4 possessions in the first half. He's had 4 now and a goal, and we're only 7 minutes into the third quarter.
Well, what we spoke about at half-time is exactly what we thought the Gold Coast had to do, and are they good enough to execute it? And they clearly have, and look what's happened too. So I guess it's the energy consumption to this particular point. Can they continue to maintain? You would expect Adelaide to come back. But 3 centre clearances, that is just poor, and Adelaide need to find a way to shut it down or win one back here.
2 dud games as far as contest this afternoon. We've got 2 rippers at the moment, a point the difference here, and it's a point the difference at Docklands. Cats in front of the Dogs, both calls available on the ABC Listen app. So after a pretty, quietish afternoon for the neutral observers, unless you're a Port or Collingwood fan, but a couple of beauties tonight. Wits with the tap down. Where is the Crows' answer? Swallow has a go at the stoppage. Hand pass, trying to find Humphrey, doesn't. Pedler kicks it off the ground for Adelaide. Just gets territory to the half-forward flank. McPherson soccers it along the ground. Towards the wing for the Suns. Players pile in. Humphrey, great hands, picks it up. Got a hand pass to Roses. Kicks high to half-forward for Gold Coast. Almost a mark to Davies, but he roves his own crumb. Hands it to Ainsworth, 60 out. Kick to full forward. Lukosius, he nudges his man under the ball. We'll get to it in the pocket. Lukosius steadies, snaps on his right, and the Suns have got 7 in a row. Lukosius has his second. Oh, it's a Suns onslaught at the sauna. They're out by 7 points after the Crows led by 35. 10 minutes into the second term. Gold Coast 9-5, 59 to Adelaide's 8-4, 52.
Well, it's ugly. It's certainly the leadership is what Adelaide has improved in the last 18 months. You would think already in this third quarter. Look at this now. Matty Nix has come from the box and walking straight down in front of us here to come to the bench to have more of a say to players coming on and off the ground. And at that last contest too, we saw Ben Keys come off and go straight to Matty Rao, and he needs to do it here again. Well, Rory Sloane's now gone to him.
Look at the names of the last few goals too. What a list they've got. Lukosius, Anderson a couple of times. Humphrey, King, Rao. They've got some players, all young men. Future's bright for the Suns. Whistle's gone. It's going to be a Crows free kick, and don't they need it just to break the run? It's going to Sloane.
Well, centre clearance now. Adelaide's way. It's all been Gold Coast third quarter.
He thumps it long towards centre half forward, inside 50 to the hot spot. Ballard flew, couldn't bring it to ground. Jeffrey's been good at just pumping it out of the contest. Gets 50 metres to the wing. King in front, had the ball spoiled away. Ainsworth rides the tackle there and gets the handball away. Comes back there to Fiorini, now to Rowell on the left boot. Another possession. Lukosius squeezed in between a couple. Hinge at the back of the pack. Avoided giving it to Miller, instead gives it to Smith. And Brodie Smith's little chip kick might be chopped down by Fiorini. Over the top of his head. He wanted McHenry there, did Smith. Couldn't get to him. It goes out of bounds between wing and half forward. Morris Rioli grandstand side. It is the Suns by 7 points, 10 minutes gone third quarter.
Rob Cross with yours truly, Quentin Hull, Rod Jamieson, Joel Bowden and Charlie King with you at Marara in Darwin. Where's the response from Adelaide? Boundary throw in. Ruckman go at it. Ricochets to Witts. He's bumped off it by O'Brien. Slews across the dewy turf. Pedler picks up at half-back for the Crows. And then just dumps a kick off his left, hoping for someone on the wing. McPherson ran hard for the Suns to get to the drop and takes the mark for Gold Coast. This hustle and bustle style in these slippery conditions. Seeing the Suns get back into it. McPherson kicks it. Half forward, King presents. Clean Clark. Gee, that's a good mark in the conditions. Butts was on his hammer too. 60 out. King kicks to full forward and a pack. Spoiled by Michael Lenny out the back for the Crows. He'll desperately rush it through for a behind. 8 the difference. 9-6-60. Plays 8-4-52. A rush behind to the Suns.
I think Adelaide have only been in their forward 50 on one occasion this third quarter.
Top end Suns fans getting full value for money.
5-1 the inside 50s, Jamo.
Jones from fullback to the outer side. Jeffrey takes a wonderful mark in a pack. And the experience of the NT conditions and kicks it high towards centre half forward. King lurks. King's up. One grab. Might have been taken over the shoulder. He was. Butts infringed. He's becoming worried about the big man. King was in front. He went hard at the footy. Got his hands to it. And then Butts reaching over the top, over the left shoulder, has infringed, and King can kick his second goal of the night and extend this margin to 14 points.
And we don't see a lot of those kicks long to like 35, 40 metres out, because that's the rebound territory. But you put it up long and high, and the big fella goes for it. He's caught one round the ears, but he's going to have a shot for goal, and this would put them...
Ben King for a 14-point lead. Lovely strike. They've got it again. Another goal to the Suns after the Crows led by 35 points at the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. It's all Gold Coast. 66 plays 52.
What an amazing turnaround. And now there just seems to be perceived pressure everywhere out there on the Crows, that they're making silly mistakes, they're giving away free kicks, and this Gold Coast Suns are converting. They're kicking straight. Early on they weren't. Now they've converted and they've kicked 8 in a row.
12 minutes into this quarter, they kicked 5. They had 5 to half time.
they've kicked those 5 goals from 6 inside 50, 33 disposals to 12. Rowell had 4 touches in the first half. He's had 6 in the first portion of the third quarter. 4 clearances for Matt Rowell in that time. 6 inside 50s to 1.
See, Joel Jeffrey doesn't look like a 15-game player at this level. He's very composed, isn't he? The way that he just gets up it, uses the football.
Track specialist, he knows it here, Jamo. He's more than a 15-game player at Marara Oval.
Interesting a move to defence, though, Joel. He's better known as a forward. Can be a swingman, both ends of the ground, but...
Yeah, he played a few games in the VFL and they've given him an opportunity to play off half-back, and he's looking really composed.
Crows have got to find something. Centre bounce, it's Casbolt up against Murray. Out the back of the pack, Anderson first to it. Laird applies a tackle. Upstairs ball up. It's rumbled about 15 metres closer to Adelaide's half-forward zone. So attacking edge of the centre square for the Crows. Thrown in the air, Casbolt taps down for Humphrey. Tackled off it. Laird, overran it for the Crows. Murphy dives in. Has it locked under his body. It spills out. Humphrey picks up for the Suns. Toes it back to the bullseye. Through the hands of the pack it goes. Who's first to gather? It's a Sun. It's Ainsworth. He pumps it again. One-on-one, Lukosius. He's got Hinge in the hole. He beats him and dribbles another through from 30 metres out. This is irresistible from Gold Coast. 6 goals in the third quarter, unanswered. And we played only 14 minutes off the back of kicking the last 3 in the second quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in a row to Gold Coast. A 35-point lead for Adelaide is now a distant memory. It's the Suns by 20 points at 11-6-72 to 8-4-52.
We talk about Adelaide's ability to win on the road, but you've got to be able to shut things down during a game. To this point, this is staggering in terms of their inability with the leadership. Jordan Dawson was on the bench. He's now gone back out to the ground. He's at half forward, but their inability to be able to shut their opposition down and stifle when they are required to. 6 goals in this first 15 minutes is...
They've got
totally
Murray.
Unacceptable.
I think they're being hamstrung. I don't think Phil Thorpe's fit. He's back on the ground, but Nick Murray is doing the ruck work now. As the kick comes from Anderson up towards full forward. The wrestle there, the mark's dropped by Butts. It's all going wrong. It's still inside attacking 50 for the Suns. The pressure comes. The tackling has been heightened by Gold Coast. And the safety of the boundary line 30 metres around from the Suns' goal.
Meanwhile, Cats are in front by 7 points at Docklands. Geelong 12-6-78. Western Bulldogs 10-11-71. That game's about 10 minutes or so in front of this one.
Q multi-skilling, can I get the inside 50s this quarter, please?
Of course you can. It is now 8-1.
Wow. Murray did the ruck work again. Ainsworth comes up with it, gives to Davies through the hands there of Berry to Atkins. Wouldn't he love a goal? He's taken in a tackle. Davies couldn't control the footy, coming hard the other way. He was met by McHenry. No free kick play on at ground level. Squeezed the ball out. Michaelani chopped down by Lukosius. Going to ground. Davies bursting through. Michaelani swung in the tackle. Rochelle clever. Got 30 metres with a clever tap on back into the middle. Paolo first to it and very clean. Comes to Anderson. He sends it all the way back towards the goal square. Will it skid through? Ainsworth there first. Brilliant defence though, reaching over the top and fisting it through from a rush behind. Crows desperate. The last thing they want to do is to concede another goal, and the ball is transferred quickly back out to the outer side.
Long kick from Sloane finds Walker at halfway. On the outer wing, Taylor Walker marks, balks around Collins. Rare deep entry here for the Crows. Well, an entry towards their attacking zone at least. Thilthorpe hit the pack, couldn't mark. McPherson's clearing kick is smothered by Fogarty. Picks it up, kicks it in inside 50, and he's found a target. Rochelle's taken a mark. 45 metres out, and finally the Crows have got a chance to answer with Josh Rochelle slowing things down and looking at the big sticks at the Michael Long end.
And the flags are down, so it doesn't look to be too much breeze at this point in time. Having a shot from 50 metres, he should be able to get the distance.
Yeah, he has scored or troubled the scoreboard tonight. He gave away one earlier up this same end to Taylor Walker, but the defence of Gold Coast managed to get it over the boundary line.
And don't the Crows need something here to try and break a run of 9 goals against them? Rochelle from 49 metres out delivers in a time of need. Great kick on the right boot from Josh Rochelle. 15 points the lead to Gold Coast. This is a humdinger in the sauna at Narara. 11-7-73 plays 9-4-58.
And good play from Taylor Walker on the wing. So he shapes to kick and go out wide. The players sift across out to that half-back flank, the far side. But when he balks around, he changes the whole dynamic of the ground, which means the ball's able to get back into the corridor. Rochelle gets the mark eventually. I think it's predicated on the fact that Taylor Walker decides to take a bit of a risk, even against the grain, when they've had 9 goals kicked in quick succession by the Suns. Takes a risk, gets it into the corridor, and a really, really good finish there from 50 metres out.
Central Coast has kicked another goal in that A-League Men's Grand Final. Mariners now leading Melbourne City 3-1 at Western Sydney Stadium.
Murray's got Witts to battle this time. He goes okay, but Witts won the tap. Rowell in front of Keys was being held.
He's lifted Rowell.
Wins the free kick and plays on. Kicks in the Casbolt direction, up one-handed. Strong tackle at the back of the pack, and there's going to be a ball up 30 metres out directly in front from the Suns' goal. But that passage of play that ended with Rochelli's goal, you can thank Mitch Hinge, who saved a goal right on the goal line with a desperate spoil and rushed it through. And from that bit of play, the Crows ran at the other end. Here's a quick snap on goal from Berry from the stoppage. It's away to the right, a behind only. Margin 16 points in favour of the Suns. 19 minutes gone, third quarter.
Matty Rowe's got that like Christian Petrarca, Clayton Oliver type, bullish, gets the footy, just strong through the thighs to be able to break away.
Smith runs beyond the goal mouth, long inbound. Walker's, in fact, O'Brien 2 to beat. Fisted away by Long, but rode by Rankin. High kick from half back towards the wing. Collins battling with Walker. Collins wins out at ground level. Hand passes to Powell for the Suns, gives it to Long, gives by hand to McPherson. Runs the interchange wing, kicks to half forward in a pack. Out the back, first to meet it, Humphrey couldn't pick up. Miller does for the Suns. Hand passes to Jones. Jones is clearing kick to a 2-on-2. Rochelle out the back, wins it, spins away from a tackler. Hands it on to Keys. Keys hand pass to the advantage of Laird. He gathers and kicks to a vacant forward line. One-on-one, it's Thilthorpe and Ballard. They battle, the up lets them go on. It's on the deck. Thilthorpe tapping and kicking off the ground for a point. Crowd roared, but it's gone to the left part of the major opening. Good one-on-one in the cage there between the key forward and the key defender. 15 the diff at 74-59.
He's 205 centimetres, 105 kilo. Ballard did an unbelievable job to maintain the contest.
Maybe Thilthorpe's a bit fitter than I thought. Up to the wing, Casbolt in front. Witts there as well in the contest. Murray does well to spoil to ground level to Laird. Davies gets there first. Ainsworth shrugs the tackle and pumps it high towards right half forward. King in front. Butts there wrestling and pushing and shoving. Well done. Spoils it away into the path of Miller. Will he go backwards to Smith? He tries to take on Big Levi, but Casbolt was having none of it. Chased him down and forced the ball out of bounds. Good defensive play by the former Blue.
And that ball simply just slipped out of his hands. He did not dispose of it by handballing or kicking. It just slipped out of his hands in the hot conditions here and went out of bounds.
Joel Bowden with you on Grandstand AFL. I've got a question for Jamo. What's +1 boss mean? That's the sign on the Crows bench at the moment. Throw in. Players over the top of it. Rankin shunts it out the back to Miller, a Crows ball. Hand pass to Scholl. Scholl gives it to Dawson. Aided by Shepherd, can run to the wing. Dawson kicks the Crows to half forward. Thilthorpe gets to the front, takes a good mark. Left half forward, 60 out, rolls infield on his right, kicks it to the pocket, hoping for Keys. He missed everyone. Missed Keys, missed the major opening, out of bounds on the full free kick Suns. Right back pocket. We've gone from +1 boss. Oh, I see +1 patrols on the other side of it. Do you know what that means, Gemmo?
I've seen a bowl of noodles on there before too. I don't know what it means. I've got no idea what that means.
Okay.
2-minute noodles.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit cryptic, isn't it?
Whose turn? I'll have a go. I kick it up forward. The Noodles got it both. Kicked forward by the Suns. They're out of trouble. Rose is off the deck to the middle of the ground, but Hinges there for the Crows. Hands it to Smith. Calmly slots a short pass to Dawson. Adelaide finally getting some traction in this quarter. Dawson marks in the middle of the ground. Kicks the Crows into attack, but Roses jumping in front of Rochelle. Takes a mark forward to the right back pocket. Score check, Suns by 15 at the 22-minute mark of the third term.
Ball transferred to the left back pocket. Ballard. The chest of Collins. And the two big defenders combined. They bring the ball out. Very well weighted kick. into the path of Fiorini, who's been solid again tonight.
They've got to sit tight here. No one's in front of the footy, but what they were able to do on those 3 occasions, they go short, maintain possession here to get over the back, and Adelaide couldn't defend.
Atkins, the former Crow, having a pretty good night, Q. Not sure what he's up to. Dozen disposals?
Number 9.
The 9 on the left boot. He kicks inside 50. The big pack forms. Casbolt's in front. Just tried to bring it to ground. Close to the boundary line. Attempted soccer off the ground. Berry comes in and gathers the footy right on the 50-metre arc. Out at left half forward, Suns just into attack. They lead by 15 points. 50-point turnaround since the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. Much needed goal in the last couple of minutes to the Crows has brought the margin back to a more manageable 15 points.
Cats by a goal at three-quarter time at Docklands. Throw in attacking 50 for the Suns. Witts taps down to Rao, met immediately by Hinge. He drops the ball up, says play on. Murray tries to pick up for Adelaide, tackled by Casbolt. Ball spills free. Davies wraps up Jones. Says mine. Ball up 30 metres from the Suns' attacking goal at the airport end.
Rory Sloane's caught one in the eye.
Ball thrown in the air. O'Brien's tap slipped off his hands. Roses picks up in the pocket. Left foot from Mal Roses across the face. Pitches and rolls out of play in the opposite pocket. Is he okay, Sloan?
Yeah, I think so. He's just there next to Alex Davies.
So boundary throw in left back pocket for Adelaide, right forward pocket for the Suns down at that southern end or the airport end.
Adelaide's head trainer is just working his way around the boundary.
25 of the 36 players on the ground inside the Suns forward 50, and the ball is backhanded by O'Brien back out of bounds 40 metres around from the Suns goal.
Stewie Dew's on the boundary as well.
It's Dew all over the ground, Gemma. Boundary throw in, sorry, that was way too obvious. Witts in front of O'Brien, who's at his feet.
Shorts, but
Holman was there, suck it off the ground, Long squeezes out in the Collins direction. He'll just pump it. Clears the head of Dawson. Backhanded by Sloane. Neat pick-up on the half volley by Long. Well, that sneaked through for a goal. It would have been something sensational. Very clean pick-up from 45 metres away to the right for a behind only. It's a 16-point lead to the Suns. 25 gone third quarter.
And Smith doesn't run out of the square this time. Chips it short to Millerer. So maybe see if they can possess it to get it out of danger. And Millerer back to Smith, inside left half back. High kick now to the wing. There's the kick to the contest. Thilthorpe 2 grab, spoiled by Collins, no mark. Ball to the foot of the pack. Murphy has a go, tackled immediately by Powell, tackled high. Free kick to Lockie Murphy, who bounces up and runs away. Kicks it out on the full. He's kicked it 2 rows into the Morris Rioli stand off the outside of his left boot. Free kick to Gold Coast, Lee Atkins to take it, just defensive side of the wing for the Suns.
There's a bit on behind play here, Q.
Who's in it this time?
Holman, Davies, Laird.
Rankin's running away from that general vicinity too.
And for those who hate seeing players fold their knees to win free kicks, I reckon he got his just desserts kicking it out of bounds on the full there. Taken by Dawson. His high kick back to the wing. Jeffrey flew in from the side. Murphy, the folded knees player. And Murphy has gone down pretty hard from that contest. He's okay. He'll bounce up. Thilthorpe wins the free kick. Back into Jordan Dawson. They set something on. Horrible handball over the top of Rankin. Beautifully spinning out of the tackle there was Anderson. Not sure who he's kicking to. Holman had 2 to beat. Miller gets there first. And Lukosius is happy to force him out of bounds.
Not a bad result for the Gold Coast, because when he looked up, there were 3 Crows deep in defence with 1 Sun. Kick it long and wide, get it out of bounds, set up again. Here they go. They're going to have a 50-50, which is a ball in on their half-forward flank.
Crows the last goal of the game after the Suns kicked 9 in a row. It's 16 points to lead to Gold Coast. Boundary throw in. Saligo puts himself over the ball. Gets high contact from Anderson. Free kick to Jake Saligo. Forward of left half back for Adelaide. Uses his right boot to kick towards the half-forward flank. Thilthorpe again in front of 2-on-2. Couldn't mark. Fogarty spikes at the half-forward. Rochelle is there. He's tackled by Rowell. He dragged it in. And the ump is going to say, holding the ball, free kick to Matt Rowell.
I think if you do a 360 and then end up on the ground, it's got to be holding the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joel, you'd say so. Rowell backwards to Powell, kick mark, and then a good transfer to the outer wing. And Fiorini takes the grab. He kicks it to Long. Long is going to run the boundary line, plays on. Nice pressure and tackle there from McHenry. Inbuilt hand pass was Errants picked up by Saligo of the Crows. Kicks from the wing back to half forward. Fogarty's got a couple to beat. Ball brought to ground level. Who's going to be there? Ballard doesn't have to rush it out of play. Boundary throw in. Basically an attacking 50 for Adelaide right half forward. Gold Coast 11-9-75 to the Crows 9-5-69. Grandstand AFL on ABC Sport. 28 minutes played. Third term in Darwin.
A few minutes to go in the third quarter. Suns still a lot of work to do. They lead by 16 points, but Crows can turn it on quickly, as we saw in the first quarter and many other occasions this season, albeit pretty slippery conditions. But for now, the Suns are holding firm. Just cover the required distance. No mark can be taken. It's between wing and half forward. Ainsworth. McHenry tried to step around him, gave the fend off. Back to Saligo, who's been really busy in the last few minutes. He finds himself on the outer side through Ballard's hands. Big tackle there by Phil Thorpe, wanting a free kick there against Farah. He won't get it, and there'll be a boundary throw in. In the right forward pocket for the Adelaide Crows, kicking to the Michael Long centre end. They're down by 16 points, 28.5 gone.
First little break in the game at Docklands. Cats by 2 goals. That's been a really tight one all through. As mentioned throughout the call, if you want to hear that game, go to the ABC Listen app. You can choose between both games. Shallow throw in the forward pocket for the Crows, cleared by the Suns. Anderson. A hacking kick. Casbolt underneath, couldn't mark. Rode by Holman, hands it to Berry. His dump kick to the wing is probably no intent according to the field ump. And it will indeed. No, it's going to be a boundary throw-in. Didn't think there was much.
I think the umpire's indicating it was touched, as in when it was smothered, it deflected off into the boundary.
Okay, thank
you. Very good, Brett Rosebery.
Almost true centre wing out of side for the boundary throw-in. O'Brien to the front, taps down, can't find a rover. Fiorini crashes through for the Suns, wins it, toes it to half forward. Knuckled forward though by Jones, then kicked out of the air by Swallow of the Suns. He gets it to attacking 50. Met on the bounce by Lukosius. He's tackled by Michaelani. But then Lukosius somehow got the slippery pill. He kicked it to Roses, circles around 55 out. Roses kicking for Lukosius back in the pocket. You got a nudge from Hinge. Hinge sees it through for a point. Says fair play. 17 that is. Difference at 76-59.
Hinge wasted no time. A beautiful 50-metre pass on the chest of Rochelle at left half back. He's a central ball. His use is wonderful as well. To Dawson, off to Sloan. This is terrific play by the Crows to a one-on-one contest. Phil Thorpe over the back. He got rid of Collins. Keys runs onto it. He loves these soccer goals, but it's touched right on the last line. Oh, brilliant defence by the Suns, but what transition by the Crows. Electric to watch.
And they're being brave. They've come back through the corridor, and even though they're down on the scoreboard, they're being brave. I think that's maybe what Matty Nix was saying to the players on the boundary line when he came down. Hey, don't go away from what we know. Play quick, play brave, and let's score.
Well, majority of the time, they've just been going down the line. The Gold Coast have been able to hold them up.
Atkins with a long inbound to a pack at half back, fisted out of play, boundary throw in.
That was Matty Rao too on the line that saved that.
So he had 4 touches in the first half of the game. Now do the third quarter isolation. 8 possessions in this term, 5 contested, 5 clearances for Rao.
And he's up to 8 tackles as well, I think.
Yeah, but he's one of the reasons the Suns are back in front. Boundary throw in, Laird had it, lost it. Keys taps it forward, but stolen by Atkins. Well, his hand pass went to Laird, punched it back to Atkins. He's tackled. Gee, it's a hard ball to hold on to. Murphy gathers. 60 from goal for the Crows. Hands it out the back to Dawson. Runs into trouble, gives up the hand pass straight to Witts, his opposing captain / co-captain. Kick to the wing. Miller, though, first to it for the Crows. Hands it to Smith. From the wing, Smith bangs it back to attacking 50 to Adelaide. Big pack. Whistle. Free kick, Gold Coast. Everyone stopped and looked at the ump. McPherson's the man to get the free kick. He's called to play on. Kicks it on the head of Witts. Easy spoil for O'Brien. Punches it out of play. Boundary throw in between winger and left half forward for Adelaide. 16 points the lead for Gold Coast at 11-10, 76 to 9-6, 60.
I think we got these cards covered down there, Q.
Yeah, there's a minute to go.
No noodles?
No noodles or gambling chips. We've seen those kinds of things this year.
Power buttons.
Yep.
Humphrey throws on the boot, just travels the required distance. Rankin marks, about 90 metres from goal. Now he pumps it inside attacking 50. From behind, Collins with the big spoil. Only as far as Murphy. Anderson comes the other way. Well done, Murphy. Desperate to Dawson. He's centering ball back in the Collins direction. Oh, Fogarty was superb. Steps back and he shrugged the tackle. He can't. Comes to Keys. Again, will it have the carry? This time it does! Ben Keys kicks his second, stands there, puffs the chest out, high-fives his teammates and gets a wonderful goal for the Crows to bring the margin back to 10 points. 11-10-76 the Suns, 10-6-66 the Crows. Almost 33 minutes gone, third quarter.
I wouldn't say huge, but to be enormously frustrating for Stewie Jew, wouldn't it too? Just to play so well in this third quarter. 6 goals, restrict Adelaide prior to that to just 1, but now just get a sneaky one there just prior to three-quarter time.
Well, what a goal to really set up this final term. The Crows have stemmed the tide. It was a tsunami with 9 goals against them, but they've kicked the last 2. The margin now only 10 points inside the final minute of the third quarter. Suns 5-6, Crows 6-5. Both teams really scrapping to be a part of finals action in 2023. Such an important game for them. Centre bounce, O'Brien bashes it towards half forward for the Crows. Keys kicks it out of the air and will follow up and gather. His kick inside 50 is wide and ineffective. Gathered by Powell of the Suns, who's tackled over the boundary line by Rochelle, and they're holding the ball. He's 60 out, Rochelle plays on quickly, kicks it to the pocket to Fogarty. And Fogarty takes the mark. Is this the angle from down in Tassie where he kicked the goal late against the Hawks, Jamo?
Well, he missed this one almost in an identical spot, didn't he, in the first quarter? Just pushed it out to the right.
I tell you what, different weather conditions to that day earlier in the season.
Got 10 seconds remaining. It must be close to...
Yeah, the siren will probably sound on approach. Counting down, man on the mark, 30 out. Fogarty 10 in from the boundary. There it is, the three-quarter time siren, and Fogarty splits the middle right on the three-quarter time buzzer. Huge moment in this game as we go to final oranges. The Crows have kicked the last 3 goals in the game, and it's a 4-point ball game at three-quarter time. Gold Coast 11-10-76. Adelaide 11-6-72. What a finish from Darcy Fogarty for his second goal of the night. And what a contest we've got here at Marara on Grandstand AFL. Gold Coast 11-10. Adelaide 11-6. After Adelaide led by 21 at quarter time, by 17 at half time. The Suns kicked 6 goals in the opening 14 and a half minutes of that third term to be out by 20. Kicked a point after that. 21 was the biggest lead, but the Crows have just pinned them back, and they get some good applause from their supporters as they go into the fridge beneath us at three-quarter time for the difference. 11-10 to 11-6 for Gold Coast. Jack Lukosius has 3 goals, 2 for Noah Anderson, 2 for Ben King. Singles for Matt Rao, Bailey Humphrey, Levi Casbolt and Joel Jeffrey. For Adelaide, Ben Keys has 2, Taylor Walker has 2, Darcy Fogarty has 2. Singles to Josh Rochelle, Luke Pedler, Jordan Dawson, Wayne Millerer and Riley O'Brien. What a contest we've got here on Grandstand AFL in Darwin. Pretty tight one at the Docklands as well, almost halfway through the final quarter of that game. And it's Geelong leading the Western Bulldogs by 11 points. Cats 13-7-85 to the Dogs 10-14-74. Huge final term coming up. Hope you can enjoy it with us right here on Grandstand AFL.
Your fortune awaits. Please sit down. You desire connection to your community, to be abreast of events and up to date at all times. In your future, I see the ABC Listen app. I see you up to date with current affairs, politics, and the latest conversations on your local ABC radio station. Your reading is complete. Put that filthy money away. The ABC Listen app is as free as a bird. Now go and download the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Got off to Anderson. Anderson's low pass on the bounce in front of Lukosius. He's close to the boundary line. Gets the kick away, the centering ball. King was there, pushed away by Butts. Comes to Anderson from 30 metres. The quick snap is high and handsome.
Long kick from Berry to full forward for the Suns. King takes the mark at the front of the pack. King straight in front, hits it with his right boot. Likes it as soon as he kicks it. And the Suns are back in this in a big way in the top end.
They trail by 5 points. Matt Rowell runs to 48. He kicks it beautifully. The Suns have hit the lead.
Humphrey, great hands, picks it up. Got a hand pass to Roses. Kicks high to half forward for Gold Coast. Almost a mark to Davies, but he roves his own farm. Hands it to Ainsworth, 60 out. Kick to full forward. Lukosha, he nudged his man under the ball. Will get to it in the pocket. Lukosha steadies, snaps on his right, and the Suns have got 7 in a row. Don't the Crows need something here to try and break a run of 9 goals against them? Rochelle from 49 metres out delivers in a time of need.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Quentin Hull, Rob Cross calling the action. Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden, your experts. Charlie King on the boundary. What a contest we've got. Three-quarter time at Marara in Darwin. Gold Coast by 4 points. Meanwhile, in the A-League Grand Final, the little club that could from Gosford's going to upset Melbourne City in the Grand Final. Central Coast Mariners 5 lead Melbourne City 1. And there's going to be no extra time or penalties needed there. 5-1. The Mariners are going to win the A-League Grand Final. In the NRL, the late finishing game won by Brisbane over Cronulla Sutherland. Broncos 20, Sharks 12 after the Warriors and Bunnies won earlier today. In the rugby, Moana Pacifica has defeated the Waratahs 33-24. That big game between the Force and the Chiefs is not too far away. Where to from here, Jamo and Joel? What a contest. 4 points to diff, Suns in front at three-quarter time.
What I love being here too is how close we are to the coaches. So both coaching group just get their charges, they come together and they throw around, and then the players go into the cool room, they then come back out. Gold Coast are out in a huddle. Stewie Jew's addressing at the moment. I think the Adelaide players are still in the cool room, but you'd almost got to be a goldfish, don't you? If you're Adelaide, you've almost got to forget what just happened in that third quarter. 6 goals. 6-5 with 3 rush behind there to the Gold Coast in that quarter, and Adelaide were only able to main 2, get to 3 and 1 really late. So I think at the moment it's around get back to continue. We spoke at half time. What do we need to do? Adelaide continue to play the way that they need to, get hold of the footy. They've come inside on several occasions late in that third quarter. They just need to execute and continue to put the Gold Coast under pressure. But how good were they in that third quarter?
It was an absolute avalanche. The sun was shining brightly for the first 15 minutes of that quarter, and 6 goals, just bang, bang, bang. But I'll give Adelaide a great deal of credit. They were brave. They continued to run. Their speed with the ball is terrific. And then when they did come in the corridor, I think that's what opened it up for them. Now, to get the one on the siren gives them the belief and gives them that hope. But I think it's just going to be momentum. Who's willing now to push? And there have been long quarters this game. You know, they're going into the 30, 32, 33-minute quarters. So the players will be drained. Can they push? Can they give extra effort as they go into this game deep into the fourth quarter? And who's going to take their chance? Who's going to take their moment like Fogarty did, kicking a goal on the siren? Who's going to be the one for the Suns, or who's going to be the one for the Crows?
You can't dismiss what happened in the middle of the ground if you're Adelaide. You have to address that. That clearance work was appalling in that third quarter. It'll go into a heavy review in the early part of next week, but they've somehow got to get back on top.
Dawson's on to Rowell as the final term begins. It goes near that pair. Little rush towards half forward for the Suns. McHenry dives in for Adelaide, but Rowell's over it. He's wrestled off it by Laird. Lets them play. Davies hands it out the back for the Suns. Gives to Ainsworth. High kick to full forward. Casbolt gets rid of his defender Murray, but can't win the footy. Coming away out of defence. The Crows through a long left foot kick from Hinge towards the edge of the centre square. Fogarty couldn't mark, but at the ground level, towed into 50. Off the boot of Murphy. A chance for Rankin. Gathers, hand passes to Walker in the pocket. Doesn't go for goal. Beautiful kick to Keys. Marks it in the opposite pocket. It's a tough angle, but he's right near the behind post. And Ben Keys has got a chance to put the Crows in front.
Give it to Rochelle now. He's on his right foot. He should just do it.
Keys, non-preferred right. Oh, he's almost missed everything. He's kicked a point across the face. A behind, 3 points the difference, 11-10, 76 to 11-7, 73.
That is brutal. like Rochelli's alongside him. He's a right footer, no Gold Coast defender. He said give it to him, he didn't, and he's missed it.
Bounces off the chest of Lukosius. He had to dive forward, but opens the door here for the Crows to send it back inside. Dawson receives from Michaelani. It's a high ball. Powell in from the side. Fogarty went up as well. Coming through was Berry, wrapped up by Jones in a strong tackle. Murphy, quick snap on goal. Murphy's got a goal! And the Crows are back in front. Enormous pressure by the Crows from half back after the mark was spilled by Lukosius. It was a tough one. He was sprawling into the chest mark, but it just opened the door for Adelaide. They got it back inside 50, and Murphy kicks the goal to put the Crows back in front. That's their fourth in a row, 3 at the end of the third term. The first of the last, they lead by 3 points.
I thought that passage of play by Adelaide too, when the ball got loose, went into the forward line, Rankin had the space. I thought Taylor Walker did an exceptional job just to hold Sam Collins out, wasn't it, too? He then came to try and tackle Rankin outside to Walker. Great kick as a team to be able to put them in the position to have a shot on goal. Just that execution really poor. They were lucky to get that one back.
And Lukosius dropping a mark on the halfback, a chest mark, it allows that turnover, allows that repeat inside 50.
Centre bounce. O'Brien with the tap down, but rowed by Humphrey of the Suns. He's jumped on, offended by Keys. High contact, free kick to the Boom kid who's signed the long-term contract. He kicks long to full forward. Out the back, Casbolt's the rover. Gets it on his right boot. And Levi's put the Suns back in front. The big man playing the little man's role to aplomb. And the buglery do sounds in Darwin for Levi Casbolt's second goal. Suns by 3 at 12-10 to 12-7.
Bit of chaos football there. You know, you get it in as long and as hard as you can. Casbolt stays down and ball falls into his hands, but he has to execute the goal, and he snaps it around his body beautifully. The big fella has kicked his second.
It's not his strongest attribute either, I wouldn't have thought. However, he has presented well tonight, hasn't he, too? Right from the outset, clunked some big marks, been a really big target. Ben Keys, too, wasn't on Bailey. Humphrey that just gave away that free to allow the Gold Coast to go forward.
Thrown up by the umpire. Witts wins the tap. Rowell. Humphrey, can he control it? He's got pressure from behind. He slaps it forward, gains 15 metres into the path of Atkins, who spins in the tackle, and his handball gains 20 metres. Berry goes off the ground. So does Swallow into the left forward pocket. Leading in the race for the ball, though, it's the Crows defender Hinge on Lukosius. And it's out of bounds, but a good spot for the Suns in front of the Michael Long Centre. 20 metres around.
You can see the Gold Coast. They're just going for distance. They're just going for yardage. Get the ball down our end. Don't worry. Doesn't matter how you do it. Even if you punch the ball inside 50, it doesn't matter.
Joel Bowden on Grandstand AFL. Boundary throw in. Forward pocket where the Suns row the rove. Hands it to Lukosius. Time to steady and snap. He's got another. He has got another, Jack Lukosius. Doesn't he love Darwin? Off a step. Right foot banana bender. From 40 metres out in the left forward pocket. 5 last week, 4 now tonight. And 2 in a row for the Suns. They're out by 9 at 13-10, 88 and might to 12-7, 79.
Might not be finished either too, but when you have a look at that, again, you have to be critical of how you line up. Lukosius, Mitch Hinge was his immediate opponent. He's starting deep in the square, but he's come up on the boundary throw-in, and he's on the attacking side, and Hinge is 25 metres away from him.
And that's why they want the ball inside their 50, because they're able to set up something like that at a boundary throw-in. Lukosius slips out the back. I mean, you don't want to give anyone 5 metres, let alone 25 metres in your defensive half, and he slots the goals. This is a momentum going either way.
Ripping game in Darwin. O'Brien and Witts. Witts wins the tap like a colossus. Down to Swallow. They go forward once again. Casbolt comes out, smashes the pack to Holman over the top. It's a handful again for Jack Lukosius. Another 5 back-to-back weeks. Bring it to Levi, though. He barreled into the pack. Created the space for Holman. The simple handball over the top. And the Suns have another, and all of a sudden they're back to a 15-point lead.
I'm not coping with this at all. This is. Q, can you have a look? Centre clearances, please.
In this quarter?
This quarter.
Clearances are 5-0 to the Suns. I don't have the centre breakdown.
And seriously, like in the third quarter, Joel, as well, like you. this is enormously frustrating that, again, please, I'm arm's length. I'm not involved. I'm independent. But the frustration here, if you are an Adelaide supporter or in that coaching group, you've got the quality and talent. You've got Dawson, Sloan, Laird in the middle, O'Brien, and you're telling me you can't shut that down?
Wits with the tap this time in the centre. Rod Jamieson on grandstand AFL. Now there's a free kick. Someone was held off the ball.
Pushing the back to Swallow. Pushed him off the ball.
So Swallow with his right boot kicks the Suns back into attack again. O'Brien got back to punch away from King. Roved by McHenry, but his hand pass stolen by Berry. He dropped it. He tried to handball it, slipped out of his hands. Humphrey, though, cleans up. He's crawling along the ground. He kicked it. And then booted out of the air by Ainsworth, out of bounds on the full. Free kick to the Crows on the left back pocket. It's a Styles wins fights kind of deal in Darwin, and the Suns have worked out how they want to play here, and it's worked. They're heading for a fourth straight win. They play this time of year in the slippery conditions. They beat North and Hawthorn last year. They beat the Dogs last week. They've come from 35 down tonight. But still not home as yet. 15 the diff. Ball on the wing. Fogarty for the Crows. Hands it to Rankin. He has two bounces. Has a third. Here's his moment. He's run a long way. He has then hit the fat part of the footy, trying to hook it from 40 metres out. Hasn't even scored. And it's been marked by one of his old teammates in the pocket, McPherson. That is a bad moment for Isaac Rankin, the new Crow, against his old mob.
Just take the drop, hun. Really?
Summed up how they're going at the moment. They're still not out of it, though. Long time to go. They've been long quarters. Powell favours the left boot. Gets some territory up in front. Humphrey ran under it a little bit. Spiked away by Davies was good for 30 metres to Lukosius. Handball back to Swallow, who's been tremendous in this final quarter. He kicks in the King direction. Had butts for company. Beautifully picked up on the half volley by Holman. Off to Ainsworth from 45 metres. Doesn't strike it cleanly. He set himself. He had time and kicked it off the side of the boot and out of bounds on the full. Gee, that would have been a handy goal. Not that easy in slippery conditions, but could have made a better fist of it. Crows trail by 15 points. Suns 94, Adelaide 79, 8.5 gone last quarter.
Gold Coast put 3 out on the full tonight. Adelaide 1, 2. Again, conditions tough.
You know what this looks like, Jamo and Joel? I'll get to you in a sec. From the inbound, Crows have got it at left half back. Dawson hand passes to Fogarty. His left boot towards Walker at half forward, spoiled out of play by Collins. You know what this looks like, Joel? Looks like your old mob when they were doing their thing. The Tiger way. Get it and bash it forward. Back the contest. Move it by any means forward.
Just chaos. Just kick it. You know, they're not handballing at all unless they absolutely have to. The Gold Coast Suns, they're just getting it inside their forward half, and then they're manufacturing a score.
Ball at left half forward. Tap back towards the wing by O'Brien. Now the kick comes inside attacking 50. The back of the pack was Collins. So he sends the Suns back towards the wing. Coming to the big flyers, McHenry to Laird. He runs to 60 from goal. Laird into the pocket. Fogarty well positioned. Outpointed Ballard, who had to turn and try and challenge the very strong body of Darcy Fogarty. And in these conditions, a one-grab mark like that was sensational.
Rory Laird really smart too. I don't know whether he would have made the distance. Possibly would have slid through. Accuracy either way, but just for Fogarty to the side, as you called it, Crossy, to his advantage, to able to use his strength.
For his third goal and to close the margin back to 9 points from 30 metres. Tight angle a few metres in from the boundary line in the left forward pocket. And Fogarty's a dead-eyed dick. What a great kick. Doesn't miss too many from those tight spots. The margin is 9 points with his third goal. 14-10-94. Adelaide 13-7-85. 10 gone last quarter.
Meanwhile, into the last 2 minutes at Docklands. Geelong looks headed for victory. The Cats 15-7-97 over the Dogs 10-15-75.
10-15 kicked themselves out of the game.
14, in fact. That was an out on the full. I just was looking. I thought Jamar had kicked a point there. No, that's an out in the full. So it's 10-14, Jamar.
Well, it costs you games. I know it's easy to look back on it, doesn't it, too? You just do all the work, you get it in. And Gold Coast tonight, 14-10. Adelaide 13-7. It's probably their efficiency at the moment with the momentum and the amount of football that the Gold Coast have that is actually keeping them in the game.
Well, Thilthorpe's in the ruck against Witts. Can Adelaide get something going out of the middle here? Witts had a clean play at it, Bobbles to Rankin, to Brow, should I say. Clearance Suns, kick inside 50, bounces to King, he evades a tackle, hand passes it onto the nose of Holman. He then gathers, his hand pass slipped off at Roses, picked up, got tackled immediately. No prior.
Should have kicked it. I mean, it's a very simple game plan. Just get the ball and kick it as far as you bloody can. Don't handball.
Ball tossed up at attacking 50 for Gold Coast. Witts again over Thilthorpe, crashing through Jones, did well to win the free kick, got his body low, got high contact from Anderson, free kick to Chase Jones on D50 for the Crows.
I like this bloke, he's a good player. Tassie will have him in their sights in about 4 years' time, I reckon. In front, Collins was strong in front of Walker, marks one grab.
He's been good tonight, Collins. Even though Walker's kicked a couple, he's still been really strong at centre-half back.
Morris Rioli, grandstand of Marara. He kicks in towards the left half-forward flank. Still about 60 from goal. Lukosius up. Couldn't take the mark. Roses tried to duck back through a couple. Gave it to Lukosius. He sidesteps. Great smother by Jones. Coming through was Sloan. Was he taken without the footy? No, dropping the ball. Free kick against Sloan. And so it'll go to Roses. About 60 metres out at left half-forward. 85 Adelaide. 94 Suns. 12 minutes gone last quarter. Mel Roses, the local star here for the Darwin Buffaloes. Been on the list for a few years at the Suns. Lurking is former Territorian and the Wanderers Footy Club in Joel Jeffrey.
Did he play in those grand finals? Melly Roses a couple of years ago?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, the kick was smothered by Sloan, but it comes along. Another Territorian. He dishes to Humphrey, who has a rare fumble. He's wrapped up in a strong tackle by Keys. Ball goes to ground. Play on. Holman picks it up. Nick Holman's quick snap is away to the left. Oh, that would have brought the house down. And up behind only to the Suns. 14-11-95 plays the Adelaide Crows 13-7-85.
Will the Crows be brave here? You know, they've got to kick 3 goals. Expect the Gold Coast to get another goal. So the Crows have to kick 3 goals to get in front.
Hinge runs out of the goal mouth and a long left foot kick looking for his skipper. Dawson flew, couldn't mark, roved though by Thilthorpe, got a hand pass to Rankin, chips it to the wing, Murphy's there to take the chest mark. Plays on quickly with a hand pass to Fogarty just forward of the wing. He's got McPherson for pressure and Fogarty kicks deep to the pocket over the head of Pedler, and Powell's happy enough to see it bounce in front of he and over the boundary line for a throw in. Game's over at Docklands. The Cats have won by 22 points. Geelong 15-7-97 to the Western Bulldogs 10-15-75.
That's a big win by the Cats. I certainly didn't expect that, I must admit.
Right forward pocket for Adelaide. 20 metres around from their goal at the airport end of Marara. Walker doing the ruck work against Witts. Walker tried to take it out of the contest and then left it alone. And at ground level, a couple of Crows fight for the footy with Rowell. There'll be another ball up. So still just 20 or 30 metres away from the Adelaide goal. They trail at the moment by 10 points. 14 minutes gone last quarter. Rankin sees Powell over the line. And just a little bit further away, but still inside the 50-metre arc for the Crows. Big crowd in attendance. Lots of people in the outer part of the ground. Grandstand pretty full as well. We've seen 2 great clashes back-to-back. Suns getting up over the Dogs last week, and they hang on tonight against Adelaide. Adelaide are coming strongly. Walker back in the ruck against Witts once more. Witts works his way to the front. Clever little two-handed tap down to Rowell, who smashes the handball forward. Pedler plays for a free kick. Play on the call. Comes back to Scholl. Chopped down beautifully by Roses. Ainsworth had to sit and wait, but gets it with a fumbly little kick to Roses. Is away through the middle. One bounce, 2. The side ball is pretty good out towards the half-forward flank, and they can just slow things down. Ballard has it. He gave the option. He goes back inboard and hits the chest of Anderson. Anderson at centre half forward. He's got 2 players loose out at left half forward. One of those is Humphrey. He's way too far out to score. He's given away 50 metres. Can you believe it? Jones just crept over the mark by about 30 centimetres. To the letter of the law, I reckon it was there, but it's pretty harsh.
Oh, dear. This is the payback for the Ainsworth one, which was a dud call last week against the Suns.
Ainsworth didn't step over at all in that case, though. There was a step over there. He could have been warned, but the players know the rules. And Humphrey, this could almost be the sealer, although it is only about halfway through the final term, given the long terms we've been playing. For a 16-point lead, 16 minutes gone last quarter. Humphrey comes in and kicks another one. The Suns get their 15th. They bring up the ton. 15-11-101. Adelaide 13-7-85. The crowd don't like it.
And that final score at Docklands repeating, it's a 22-point margin in favour of Geelong over the Western Bulldogs. Cats 15-7-97. Bulldogs 10-15-75. And I'll just double check full time. Oh, they got another one. 6-1 to the Mariners in the A-League Men's Grand Final. All over. Central Coast 6, Melbourne City 1.
I would have pulled the goalie, actually, too. Just go your hardest, hey? What a great outcome for the Mariners. But Mel Roses, gee whiz, how quick is he?
He certainly showed some speed there. But it's just a disproportionate penalty, 50 metres. It's a third of the field. And unless you're getting a 50-metre penalty in the back half, it's generally going to be a shot at goal or something along those lines. It is such a disproportionate penalty in this day and age.
We all push the boundaries, but maybe a step. You know, you don't need to take that extra one just to get that extra metre or foot.
Well, centre bounce, Laird got half a clearance for the Crows. His toed kick stolen by Long at half back for the Suns. He bangs it to half forward for Gold Coast. Roses battling along there with Scholl. Ump says ball up. Now, has Bodie Hewland come into the game? Yes, he has. Tommy Berry, I think, has been subbed out. Okay, so Bodie Hewland laid in. The Swallows pushed off the ball at the stoppage, nudges it towards the boundary line. He's at half forward for Gold Coast, towed forward by Ainsworth, by Fiorini of the Suns, rowed by Davies, hand pass too hot for Roses. Scholl intercepted, couldn't pick it up. Roses taps it along the ground to Holman. Here's hand pass out the back. Snap on goal from Ainsworth, from Fiorini, should I say, is a point. And 17 is the difference at 102-85, 17 and a half final term.
Lots of time for Adelaide, but it's a little window of the game that's being dominated by the Suns. A couple of balls on the ground, play allowed to go on. Brodie Smith hammers at 70 metres out. Juggling mark, Fogarty couldn't quite bring it to ground. Thrown out almost by Swallow. Comes to Ballard. He hacks the kick forward in towards the left forward pocket. Ainsworth goes over the top of the footy with Hinge for company. It's now 40 metres around from the Suns' goal at the Michael Longsetter end at Marara.
They're keeping it simple, the Suns. It's the ultimate sophistication. Just kick the ball forward.
102 plays 85. 18 minutes gone, final quarter.
Seriously, it's like Richmond during their reign, Joel, when they played a lot of wet games as well. I remember that COVID season. Geez, they just played this type of territory style.
Gold Coast have put Lukosius behind the footy here too.
Crows clearance from the throw-in in the back pocket. Rush kick beyond defensive 50 but punched out of play. Jones got it to his boot, but another neutral. It's going to be thrown in 70 metres from Gold Coast's goal. 17 the diff. Is the elastic band about to break? You reckon the Crows need at least the next one? Just to keep things interesting. Plenty of time left, 10 and a half to go in the game. Boundary throw in, O'Brien taps down, Sloane's buffeted off it, he got taken high.
Holding the ball.
No? Oh, what?
Paid holding the ball against him.
Oh, really, Joel? That'll do, mate. Rory Atkins gets the free kick. Wow.
It's hard to explain that one.
Atkins runs off the mark. From the wing, kicks. Gold Coast into attack, 2-on-2 pack. Defenders fisted to ground level. Miller tries to kick it clear. It ricochets to Scholl. Hand pass stolen by Casbolt on 50 for the Suns. Hands it out the back to Atkins. Hooks it to a dangerous spot in the goal mouth. Lukosius couldn't mark, but Rose hands it to Roses. He's buzzing around. He gets it to his boots. And there's a goalkeeper there to rush it through for a point. It was Soligo for the Crows to rush it through. 3 the diff. 18 points the diff. 103-85.
Well, look at this.
Crows waste no time. Uland, the new man on. The great spoil down to Anderson from 40 metres. Anderson for a 4-goal lead is away to the right behind only margin 19 points. 15-14, 104. It's all Suns at the moment at the 20-minute mark of the last quarter. Crows 13-7-85.
I don't really think stats matter all that much, but at the moment inside 50s must be heavily Gold Coast in this quarter. Adelaide just cannot get it past the centre line.
Hold on, Gemmo. It is 14-6. Long exit.
The heat mat says the Suns have got the ball and it's inside their 50.
Joel's simplifying it for us now. Free kick going to the Suns here. This is
another free kick, too high.
Well, an umpire's called it from not the one in control, but one sitting behind.
Against Sloane, given to Ballard. Ballard chips over the man on the mark, marked by Atkins. The man on the 5-year deal for the Suns. He's almost at the halfway point of that deal. He's only playing his 23rd game for his new club against his old club. Long kick to full forward. Casbolt to the front, almost marked it. No, play on. Butts Rose, tackled immediately.
Holding the ball!
Oh, what? Holding the ball! Wow. Well, Adelaide getting the butt end of the decision there.
Need to see the replay on that. Ben King is the guy with the footy.
Did he? Oh, wow.
I mean, there's 30 players inside the Gold Coast Suns.
He backed his way into a tackle, and that's deemed to have been prior opportunity on a wet night. Ben King, anyway, this might be enough for his third and for the Suns to lead by 25. He has kicked the goal. And it looks like Jews boys will double up in Darwin. 16, 14, 110. Place 13, 7, 85. Ben King's third off another dubious holding the ball decision. Joel Bowden, what do you think?
Well, I know Mal from Ballarat umpired about 700 games of football, and we've watched a fair few games together. Even he would be shaking his head watching this game. But it's just hard. It's just hard when there's so many players around the ball. You spin or you turn out of a tackle and you get tackled immediately. Now, is that prior opportunity because you sort of spun one way? I mean, have a look at the stats today. 0 bounces in the game of football. The game is a contested style of footy with 30 blokes around the ball all the time. It's so tough, and the umpires have got a tough job trying to adjudicate it, but that looked to be a little bit harsh, and now the Gold Coast are out to a nice lead.
25 to 23 is in favour of the Gold Coast. Whoop, 21-25.
Big job here. Pedler comes up with a free kick, gives to Jordan Dawson, bombs it long. Fogarty, in fact, Phil Thorpe ran under the footy. Jeffrey, good poise, handled to Powell and then chopped down by Saligo. So at least they keep it in their forward 50, the Crows, with that pressure. 40 metres around from their goal, left half forward.
Still 8 minutes remaining, so plenty of time.
And if you've just tuned in, it's the Cats by 22 over the Dogs. This has been a wildly seesawing affair. Adelaide led by 35 points early second term, only for the Crows to concede the next 9 goals in the game. And it was only 4 points the diff. Actually, Adelaide hit the lead early in this term when Lockie Murphy kicked a goal from the stoppage. Swallow with a desperate clearing kick for the Suns, got it to the wing. First to meet it though, Butts, hand pass out the back. Ends up in the hands of Smith. He kicks across the centre square, marked by McHenry. Still defensive side of the bullseye, chips infield on the 45, marked by Hinge. He's going to play on with his right boot. Henry with a long kick into a pack on the attacking 50. Goes to ground level, power for the Suns. Hand pass to Anderson, slung as he gets a kick clear towards the boundary. Holman gets to it before it goes over the line. Enough for the ump to say, throw it in.
Mitch Hinge just ran across the boundary line. I think cramp is just starting to take effect.
You've liked Powell's game. He's been good across half-back all night for the Suns when they're under pressure early, and he's continued to get possessions and be a steady influence across half-back. Witts has been terrific as well. Won another tap. Scholl for the Crows. Hacks the kick forward. Pedler dive forward. Had it initially when he hit the ground. It bounced out of his chest. Smith sends it inside 50. McHenry, can he ride the tackle of Swallow? He can't. It's holding the footy.
Nice take, wasn't it?
I think that's definitely holding it most nights.
It's going to be Long, in fact, who came over the top of Swallow and laid the tackle in the end that was the infringement.
Where's he going?
He's coming out wide to Casbolt, who made a good lead into space in front of Murray. Casbolt, defensive side of the wing in front of the Morris Rioli grandstand, looks inboard.
Don't go inboard, Levi. Just kick it long.
Which is what he's going to do eventually. Up towards the half-forward flank. Witts wrestling there with O'Brien. Squeezing handball comes out to Scholl. He tumbles the ball up in the Murray-Casbolt direction, and the two big behemoths are happy to see it out of bounds. Boundary throw in. It's 85 Adelaide, 110 Suns, 25 gone last quarter.
And the Crows led by 35, 10 minutes into the second term, and then indeed Suns with the next 9, Crows with the next 4.
Round 1, GWS, almost exactly the same. 6 goals up, 36, 38 points.
Yep, boundary throw in. Who's underneath this one? Atkins. Hassled off it by Keys over the boundary line. Keys at his knee fell on there by Swallow. He looks a bit hurt. That was an accident. Oh, but hold on, there's a free kick in all of that.
I thought that was play on. The two players came in, bumped each other. It should have been play on, surely.
Swallow and McHenry. So Swallow gets a free kick. And it was right underneath us. Anyway, he kicks it to Casbolt. He nudged his opponent O'Brien away from the drop, and Levi marks it. just beyond his range for one of his best. About a kick and a half from goal. He boots it to the pocket. Flying King couldn't mark out the back. It's actually rolled through for a point. I don't think he got a touch. Is that a point from Levi from 80 metres out?
I think so.
I think it is. 26 the diff. 16-15, 111 to 13-7, 85. 26 final term.
Crows come straight down the middle. Walker and Collins. Walker takes a very strong mark and goes quickly. Collins ties him up. No, he doesn't. The sidestep from Tex, and he kicks it in towards the pocket. Bit too tall. There's Powell again. Over the top of Rochelle. Takes a very good mark 30 metres out from the goal he's defending at the airport end.
Well, he was going to hit Rochelle lace out, wasn't he, too? He had the space, but because he got to go round and do the 360 to evade his immediate team or opponent in the middle of the ground, kick was poor.
Powell, long ball to the wing. Jordan Dawson's kick to centre half forward is chopped down by Long, who's had a couple of telling possessions in this last quarter, and that's good disposal to the wing to Farah. So the NT-ish connection there. Farah sliding by was Anderson. He'll receive now in space, 20 metres clear, and he can just wind down the clock a little bit. Now he's forced to play on by McHenry. Anderson's kick in the Casbolt direction, off hands out of bounds.
Well, they're officially set to launch at their first finals campaign, the Suns now. They'll be 6-6 with the bye next week, and then the Blues at the G and Hawthorn at home, their next two after that. And well, the Crows, well, they're still well in the fight. They've got West Coast at home, have to bank that before the bye. But it's looming as a very important 4 premiership points for the Suns. And the 2 games after Damien Hardwick's left, and everyone's asking what's Stewie Dew doing again. The Suns look like they're going to bank 2 wins. Swallow from the stoppage half forward, kicks the Suns into attack. In the pocket, men fall over. Lukosius doesn't. He's got 5. He's smothered by Michael Annie through for a point. And another minor score, 16-16, 112. Plays 13-7, 85. 27 points is the lead. 10,772 here to see it. 10-7-7-2.
And there was a shot on the big screen while you're talking about finals aspirations. Q of Took Miller. Wouldn't he be a handy injection in maybe a couple of weeks?
Spoke to him before the Q clash. He's planning to be back for the last, quote, 5 to 6 games of the regular season.
How good's Jack Lukosius been here? He just another contested mark. Every time he gets near the footy, he's dangerous.
He kicks long up towards the goal square. Suns have good numbers around the contest. Crows tackling hard. The soccer off the ground there came from Brodie Smith. Onto the lap of Fogarty. Fogarty turns and plays on quickly. The hard-charging McHenry. Will it sit for him? He's about 40 metres in the clear, so he could fumble 10 times and still come up with it. At centre-half forward, Keys marks on his chest. So there's still a little bit of hope here for Adelaide. Not much granted, but if Keys can go back and quickly kick this one, it'll close the margin back. He's in fact going to handball off to Fogarty from 51 metres. Fogarty launches at goal and misses to the right. Sums up the Crows' night since the 10-minute mark, really, of the second quarter. A behind only, 13-8, 86. The margin 26 points. Suns 16-16, 112.
I get that Fogarty's a good kick, but Keys is 40 metres out. Every AFL footballer should be able to go back and have a shot from 40 metres out on a reasonable angle.
Just beneath, Stillthorpe doesn't look great with that left knee, and repeating Duday subbed out with a right knee injury early in the game. So a bit of insult to injury for the Crows here from the inbound. It's Jeffrey at half-back for Gold Coast, kicking it to the wing. King meets it, taps once, twice to his advantage, then tackled without the ball. Free kick against Rory Sloane. And Big Ben King will be the beneficiary. So repeating, bye for the Suns, and then to Melbourne and play the Blues before a home assignment against the Hawks.
And Collingwood and Port after that. So they've still got a... I mean, every game is hard, isn't it, too?
Sloane makes almost a tackle. King slipped him trying to play on. Kicks it inside 50. Humphrey got high. Couldn't take the mark. Right by Jones of the Crows. Hand passes to Millerer. Hand passes to Saligo. Saligo chips it to Laird. And the Crows champ marks it at left half back.
Sends it into his skipper, Jordan Dawson. Inside defensive 50. Comes out to Butts. Butts in plenty of space. To Sloane on the wing. Drops the mark. Doesn't matter too much. Can play on. Back to Smith. Smith pokes the kick in the Rochelle direction. He's up. Had it knocked away. Arms chopped, says the umpire, against McPherson. So Rochelle from 50 metres out.
Well, if he keeps going here, Brodie Smith's got the long kick, but I don't know, Rochelle may struggle with this distance.
looked like he doesn't mind his chance. He's gone back a long way. He'll kick from about 53 metres out.
He'll back himself.
Slight angle to bring the margin back to 20 points. Runs around a little bit. Unloads at goal. Got the distance, but away to the right-hand side for a behind only. So the margin, 25 points. 31 minutes gone last quarter. Wonderful performance by the Suns, having been 35 points down at the 10-minute mark of the second quarter.
And they'll be 4-0 for their last 2 years travelling to Darwin.
Good incentive to come back and keep coming back.
Well, why not? And locking away the signature of Bailey Humphrey during the week as well. That's huge. And you think that, well, Humphrey was one of the guys that's still to come in that deal that saw Rankin go to the Crows, as Collins from the pocket kicks to a pack near the wing, roved by Holman, hands it to Anderson, kicks Gold Coast, another rush tumbler out to the spaces of the wing, no Sun there. Miller are there for the Crows, hands it defensively to Butts, who'll chip it to Murray. Marks on the wing, kicks it backwards to McHenry. All a little in vain now as we tick inside the final minute. McHenry chips to Sloan. Sloan marks, rolls on, kicks it wide to the wing for Dawson. Takes the grab, looks forward. Plenty of options inside the attacking 54. Him goes wide for Pedlar. Got a fly, got front on contact, free kick.
But conversely too, Q, Adelaide need to stamp their flag here a little bit. They've been up here several times. They've been to Ballarat several times. So they need to actually say, hey, we've got to get to Marble or Docklands and get to the MCG and play football. We're not, the carnival that travels around Australia to take on the opposition.
Pedlar with his left boot. It's not going to have the journey across the face. Fisted into the behind post. That's out of play. Boundary throw in.
Left forward pocket, airport end here at Marara. Last moments of this match, which will see the Suns win 2 in a row. They're home away from home. 25-point leaders. Great performance. They're all at sea in the first quarter and a bit, trailing by 35 points at the 10-minute mark. Jeffrey's been terrific. Was he taken without the footy? Is that another free kick to the Suns? It is. Right on the final siren. Joel Jeffrey, the hometown boys, had a big hand in the Suns win today across half-back. And the Gold Coast are showing their mettle as maybe a finals contender this season. 16-16, 112. Defeated the Crows 13-9, 87.
And it was a blistering surge either side of half-time, which was the backbone of a 35-point deficit, which had been turned around 3 goals before the end of the second term, the first 6 of the third term. The Crows did hit the lead early in the final quarter, but Gold Coast kicked 5 of the last 6 goals of the game. Both teams are 6-6. Both teams are in the fight for the 8, but the Suns have won 2 in a row in the top end. Gee, from a neutral's perspective, what an entertaining night at the footy. And there'll be plenty of disappointed Crows fans, but happy Suns fans. Adelaide leading by 21 points at quarter time, by 17 at halftime, as mentioned. They kicked the first 2 of the second term to be out by 35. Suns kicked the next 3, 17 the diff at halftime. Then the next 6 in the game for the Suns to make it 9 on the bounce. But the Crows kicked the last 3 of the third term. 4 points the diff at three-quarter time in favour of Gold Coast. Murphy goals, first goal of the last term. Adelaide in front by 3, but then 5 of the last 6 for Gold Coast. 25 points the winning margin at 16-16, 112 to 13-9, 87. Jack Lukosius doubled up with his handfuls. 5 against the Dogs last week and 5 again tonight for the Suns. 3 goals to Ben King, 2 for Noah Anderson, 2 for Bailey Humphrey to celebrate his contract extension, 2 for Levi Casbolt, singles to Matt Rowell and Joel Jeffrey, while for Adelaide, 3 goals for Darcy Fogarty, 2 for Ben Keys, 2 for Taylor Walker, and singles for Lockie Murphy, Josh Rochelle, Luke Pedler, Jordan Dawson, Wayne Millerer and Riley O'Brien. Cats by 22 at Dockland, Suns by 25 here, Rod Jamieson and Joel Bowden. We haven't got long to talk about it, but what do you reckon?
No, huge win by the Gold Coast. Really impressive, multiple players. I've seen the Gold Coast 2 weeks in a row, and a number of players haven't played a lot of football, but under pressure, and when they've given the opposition plenty of head start. In the first quarter we spoke about against the Western Bulldogs last week, 3 goals, and then they managed to work, but the margin of 35 to be able to then come back 11-11 in the second half to 5-5 Adelaide. They were all over them, centre clearance, clean in the end. They got it forward, pressure, loquacious, dangerous, but the back half really, really impressive.
Yeah, I agree, Jamo. And look, the Crows started with a bang, 6 goals in the first quarter, but then only score 5 in the second half. Yeah. That's not enough to win you the game, especially when it was open and reasonably free-flowing in the sense that there was a high number of goals. And I reckon, look, the Suns, they just kept it simple. And talking to the coach and a couple of the players this week, they explained how they know that these conditions, you just need to keep it simple, you just need to bang it forward. And if you have a look at the stats, they haven't out-kicked the Crows because they haven't gone forward with precision and 5 or 6 kicks across the back half to then weave their way through. They've actually just gone, kick it as far as I can down the line.
Hopefully we'll get Charlie King to chat to one of the Suns players. We've only got 4 minutes before we finish, so we need your votes as well. Anderson, 28 possessions, 17 for Fiorini, 17 for Powell, 17 for Holman, Humphrey, Atkins and Davies. Dawson, top of the pops with the Crows with 30. Smith with 26 in the back line, Keys with 25. Now, Charlie, you've got Davey Swallow with you. Go for it.
Congratulations.
Oh, we can't hear you, Charlie. Just try and get that microphone face towards us.
Kind of got to work after and managed to grind out a win.
Yeah. What did Stuart do say to you at half time?
We thought the game was starting to turn in that second quarter. So, yeah, we just felt like we probably weren't playing our way in that first quarter. Lacked a bit of intensity around the ball. They were outworking us. So we just got back to sort of fundamentals, our contested ball and just spread from stoppage. So with these conditions, we just felt like if we could get in forward, our forwards were looking dangerous, and the big boys were clunking them, and or the guys on the ground were getting it done as well.
What did you make of your game?
My game, it was interesting. I sort of went to Dawson in the first quarter, but then Lairdy was getting off the chain, so they asked me to sort of give him a bit of tension around stoppages and just try to negate him a bit. So I thought I was able to do that. I didn't really get a heap of the footy, but well.
All right, we'll have to leave there.
Good effort. Thanks, Charlie, and thanks to Dave Swallow. Yeah, just a bit scratchy there, but we get the drift. And there's not long before we wrap things up. Dave Swallow, the original Sun, he'd be loving the fact that they're at this point of the season a relevant conversation when it comes to threatening for finals.
Well, how good's he been since he's been at the Gold Coast too, by the way? Like, he's been an incredible leader, a ball-winning player. He only had the 16 tonight, but he's had the 7 tackles too, and he plays his role. He's hard at it.
Inside 50s in the end, Gold Coast 61 to 58, so not much difference in it there. You got your votes, Jamo?
Yes.
Jamo, over to you, mate.
I saw you two look at each other.
Look, without even looking at the stats, here we go. Like, we'll try and pull this correctly together. I reckon 1 vote. I'm going to go Noah Anderson. I thought he's game from start to finish on just how he played, middle of the ground, and just continues to win the football. 2 votes. Yeah, I thought Will Powell was pretty good, actually, on the halfback line. And the blokes that probably missed out, actually, I thought Joel Jeffrey was actually really good in the back half too. And look, 3 votes, I think, for the impact on the game, albeit not early, but Jack Lukosius, another great return of 5 goals up forward. Hardly sighted in the first quarter, may have had a couple of disposals, but then they put him deep forward all on his own, and he just came to life, didn't he, in the second, then the third, just a huge target for him.
And it was that third quarter, so we saw Rao, well below par in the first half. He comes out in the third quarter and he gives them something out of the middle. You get Lukosius and King in the forward line who start getting the ball, getting on the end of Rao's good work, and they score goals. I think they got 6 goals in that third quarter, 6 in a row in that first 15 minutes, and that's what's given them the momentum that they were able to pick back up in the last quarter to win.
Hopefully see you in a year. Joel, you up for it next time? Hopefully they put footy up here again. Good on you.
As long as Charlie asks me, I always say yes. Whatever Charlie King asks you to do, you do. He's a great man, and thank you for the opportunity.
Good on you, Charlie. Good to see you, Jamo.
Likewise, man. A pleasure and agree.
Great to call with you again, Crossy. Thanks to Hamish on the faders. Tech assistant Ethan here, helping our FX microphone, and Tom back in the studio. Suns and Cats winners on the Saturday night. Thanks for your company.